Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is a nice little panel we've put together because my co-host Mel was actually in Chicago, hashtag in Chicago for Forbidden Door. If you joined us for the Double or Nothing live stream, you know that we were joking about how we were all hashtag not in Vegas. So all of us are clearly hashtag not in Chicago. So we are going to get started about some cool things that we watched tonight. But before that, I wanted to give a quick. Oops, and there goes my mic already. This is, if you watch Powerbombshells, you know that my mic hates me and they must want to fight. But,
Sam, you're already doing way better than me and Kevin because we didn't do a show for 2 weeks following Double or Nothing.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Vegas won that week.
Yeah, I bet it did. But real quick, I just wanted to give a shout out to the Canvas Theory guys. We did, if you saw a couple episodes ago, we did an unboxing that Mel did. She got both of the hats from the Carl Fredericks collection. And so they are kind enough to hook us up with a promo code. So if you go to canvastheory.com and use the promo code Powerbomb, you will get 10% off your order. So that was really cool of them. And so I wanted to get that, let you guys know about that real quick. And then, as you can see, I am joined by Kevin, Steven, and James, and we are here to talk about the very cool show that we just watched. And hopefully you all watched it too. If you didn't, you're going to have a bunch of spoilers. So you might want to come back. And so we'll start with the buy-in that ended up having 4 matches on it. They were they definitely gave the fans their money's worth, I think, trying to get this out. So the very first match we got was Hiroki Goto versus Yoshihashi versus the Factory, but the 2 members of the Factory were QT Marshall and Aaron Solo. And we've seen, if you're watching New Japan Strong, you've probably seen the Factory show up a few times over the last few weeks. It's definitely a story that's been building. And I believe, there's 2 members of the Factory are going to be in the New Japan Strong tag team tournament. It was filmed last Saturday, but I'm not sure when the episodes start airing. And then the finale will be in Charlotte. So I'll actually get to see the finale of that live. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that'll be a really cool show. And I will turn the mic over to somebody else so my mic doesn't try to kill me. So Kevin, do you want to give your thoughts on this match and how you thought it was for the very first match between New Japan and AEW for their big show?
Yeah, I mean, so James and I on our show had kind of been fairly kind of meh on the build of the show. Like we both were like, we're both going to buy the show. We know it's going to be good.
And it was.
But I will say when this show started or even just this pre-show and Yoshihashi's getting chance in the first match.
Yeah.
Like immediately just knew tonight is going to be special. I just had that feeling. Yeah. It was just everyone understood the assignment.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
And you kind of wonder because they go to Chicago so many times. Obviously, it's a market they do really well in, but then you kind of wonder, do they get to the point where the fans are because we kind of saw it the last time they were in Chicago, like that was the night was really bad when, the fans kind of turn on Brandy and it was not some great stuff happening. So you kind of wonder, was AEW kind of run of its course a little bit? Like, did they need to back off some? But it sounded like the crowd was into it, all night long.
Yeah, and I was looking at that, and the thing with the fans, when I saw that the crowd bought tickets very quickly, like that, they sold a lot of tickets very quickly when it went on sale. What that told me was it was New Japan fans that were going to show up for this thing, and certainly plenty of AEW fans there, and people
and JY fans
and JY fans, but it was a lot of that because people bought tickets right away without knowing any of the matches. So they just figured New Japan people are going to be here. This is my chance to see them. It was similar. I live in Austin, Texas. When G1 came to Dallas, that was mostly the feeling is just like, shut up, take my money. New Japan's on the way. I'm going to go down there and see them. Yeah. And I think a lot of those fans were in no matter what the card was going to be. And then what they got was a fantastic show. But a lot of those people were there to react to the New Japan people. So like you said, when Yoshihashi got the big chant, they couldn't wait to get their chants down on these guys and go. And they were ready to sing along to the theme songs. They knew all the moves and the setups for them. You could hear that it was a real New Japan centric crowd, which worked perfectly for this show.
Yeah, definitely.
New Japan is exactly what AEW needed. They were the shot in the arm for that Chicago crowd that absolutely, I think, got a little played out with too many shows. And I think this brought them back in a big way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And because like you said, I mean, the Yoshihashi chants, I heard it and I was like, wow. I was like, my sister and I were watching together and we're not the only Yoshihashi fans here. So it's nice to see. And I was glad to hear him get some pops, and Goto got a few chants in. I think the QT chants might have been a little bit louder than the Yoshihashi chants.
Shocking.
The fans do not like them some QT Marshall.
No, but it does show just how much of a New Japan crowd it was, because Yoshihashi and Goto have had zero presence on AEW. If you watch Dynamite, you would not know who Hiroki Goto really is, and they exploded for him. So. Yeah,
definitely. And you would think, obviously Goto had the huge match at Dominion, but how many AEW fans were actually going to buy the Dominion show to see Goto? So it's nice. I'm glad AEW brought him in to kind of give him that spotlight to be like, this is why he got a shot against Tanahashi. Like, this is what he does. So, and I think it also introduces some people to people who don't know the big names in New Japan. So people who don't watch New Japan, they know who Okada is. Right. They know Jay White. They've heard these names. So now they're getting to see some of the other guys that are not, the superstars, and they can see that New Japan has a full, robust roster, I think.
And that phenomenal crowd, I think, really helped ease people into understanding who we should be cheering for, who we don't like, and who's who, in a way that AEW really didn't do a great job of showing in the weeks leading up to the pay-per-view.
Yeah, definitely. And because I was on the media call with Tony Khan on Friday, and he was talking about how they wanted Okada earlier, but they have to work with New Japan and what their schedule is. And so he knew kind of last minute that they would only have Okada at the very last minute, and they would get Jay White kind of last minute as well. So he was saying it was really hard in that way, because he's like, we have to respect what they're doing too, but we have to build for TV. And he was so it was a little hard to kind of do that. And so I think it was a little rough. So maybe the next time he did make it seem like they're going to do a Forbidden Door too. I don't see how you don't after a gate like this. So maybe, the next time around they can kind of, get it in there a little bit better. But so I guess I'll run through the rest of the buy-in real quick. We had more of the factory with Nick Comoroto getting a shot at Lance Archer. That Lance Archer did not have a squash here.
I really, really liked this match because it gave me the Nick Comoroto I've been wanting.
Yeah,
not the Nick Comoroto that AEW's been giving us. He was a monster in this match, and he went toe to toe with a monster in Lance Archer, and I really enjoyed that. And it was one of the better Nick Comoroto matches I've ever seen.
He really did shine in that one, didn't he? And I mean, Archer had to look strong. He's the one that's going to G1. Right. He's the one that's heading overseas. So both fan bases needed to see him look good. But and you knew that was going to happen when Comoroto steamrolled him for the first 3 minutes. So there's no way Nick's winning this thing. And we kind of knew that anyway. Yeah. But Archer sold for him beautifully. Archer knows how to do this stuff, and Nick really looked good. I think it definitely was a good night for Comoroto on that one. I think he's going to come out of this in a better spot.
It made me want to see Comoroto do a tour of Japan. I think he would. Yes, I think the Japanese crowds would love him.
I think they'd eat him up, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I had a friend who wasn't super familiar with him, and he's like, "Man, this guy's 21 and 34," and I was like, "Yeah, but he's getting a pay-per-view spot." So
did anyone know that match was happening before the pre-show?
No,
that was a last minute ad, right?
Yeah, it was definitely a last minute ad. And so, I thought he looked really good, and it was a good spotlight for him because especially for people who don't watch Dark and Elevation, then I think they got to see a little bit different side of Nick. And even those of us who do watch, that's the best Nick has looked in the ring.
Yeah, by far.
And I think that speaks a lot for, Lance Archer as well, but Nick has improved a lot. And so I think, I thought that was a really good spot for him.
I appreciated also that they took the time to plug the G1 and mention New Japan World. Like they were a lot freer with their co-promotion on this show than they typically would be on like Dynamite.
Right.
And a lot of that was due to Kevin Kelly, but they were, they were really.
By the way, I love that booth. I love that booth tonight of Taz, Kevin Kelly, and Excalibur.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Yeah, I was like, just give us that the whole show.
Yeah, once for now until the end of time.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was really nervous when they brought in JR. Clearly, Tony got his leg all worked out.
Yeah,
but it didn't ruin a thing.
Yeah, I was concerned. I thought maybe they were going to hold JR until the main event. I was like, well, maybe they're just giving him the night off and he'll come do his big match and get and do that. And I know that they brought in Chris Charlton. He said that he wasn't really sure what he would be doing. I had kind of hoped that they would put him on commentary, so I'm just, especially there was a match, we'll get to it later, that I really wish he was on, but he's so funny and he's really hit his stride with Kevin, and so I had hoped that they would use him, but I know they also had a lot going on tonight.
Taz was fantastic all night.
Yeah,
he really was. He was on his
that
game.
Guy really gets the New Japan product, and in a way I didn't realize he did, but he was right on target with a lot of that stuff. Of course, he knows the AEW stuff, but he was wonderful. And then you're right with Chris. I missed Chris also. I think he and Kevin Kelly are one of the best broadcasting teams I have ever heard.
Agreed.
Yes. When they do these tournaments, they take you on that whole storyline journey all the way through. They're one of the best teams. I mean, I like Excalibur. But him winning that Announcer of the Year award last year, I was just like, you got to be kidding. Kelly is so great, and Excalibur is good too. So this was a real pleasure all night long.
Yeah,
it was amazing how. I mean, I shouldn't have been surprised, but it was amazing how comfortable Kevin Kelly was. I mean, he just slipped right into that team. He was so comfortable, joking around. I mean, he's
true
like, he's like, he's like Johnny Carson smooth. Like nothing rattles him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was really glad to see him there. So then the next match we got was Swerve and Our Glory to see if they could coexist.
So far, so good.
Yes, against El Desperado and Kanemaru. Which was a nice. We saw Desperado like, was it 2 Dynamites ago, and then he just like disappeared. So I wasn't really sure. I was like, well, maybe they're just gonna film like some dark matches with him or something, and then they popped him on, and on Friday they're like, oh, we'll put him in a buy-in match.
Was it just me, or did the buy-in matches feel like New Japan matches more than AEW matches in the way they were laid out? Is that just me?
I don't think so.
I feel free to say that.
I think that's fair. I love the way Kanemaru and Desperado worked with Lee. Because they really, and Keith Lee has been working indies and smaller guys a lot of his career, so he knows how to do it. He knows how to sell realistically for people a lot smaller than him. And Kanemaru and Desperado are both tremendous workers. Both on Kanemaru is really a terrific heel, and his whole thing with like concentrating on the knee, coming up with a variety of ways to attack it, and Desperado being right there for it. That whole finishing sequence with Swerve, like kicking Desperado, getting the foot caught, doing the jump over the rope with the double snap. Fantastic. I mean, the whole thing was like that match was a lot of fun, and Lee really shined with smaller guys, and that's not always the case with that big difference. Those 3 really excelled.
Yeah, it was amazing how believable they made it. That these 2 guys who were junior heavyweight tag team champions could actually chop down the big oak tree, and it was just through teamwork. And I mean, it just really made a lot of sense.
I should have expected it, but I didn't. So it was such a pleasant surprise. Like, it was so good. I really enjoyed that match.
Go
ahead.
There's a lot of contention back and forth of people saying "I told you so" because of complainers like me and James who were complaining about the build the whole time. You know what? I'm glad, because my joy tonight over just being continually, just overly pleased, just, overly delivered. I think my expectations were like, just was so happy tonight, just watching everything.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And one of the things I liked early on was Kanemaru when he he first was in the ring with Keith Lee, and he just he went onto the top turnbuckle and kind of like sized him up a little bit and tried to like make him more level. I thought that was really great to see. That. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool thing to do. And so then the main event was the extremely over Gun Club. And Max Caster against members of the LA Dojo.
This match.
This is a weird one.
This
is a weird match.
Yeah, so it starts off with I thought this was really funny, and I didn't expect it. So Danhausen, before the match starts, they cut to Danhausen, and he plays the Ass Boy song that he had put on Twitter a couple of months ago, and it enraged the Ass Boys, who left their dad.
Yes, left their father.
Just left him and Max Caster to face 4 members of the LA Dojo.
Turned out it wasn't a problem, though, was it?
No, it wasn't. No big deal. I completely thought that. So after the Hobbs and Stark promo, after the Keith Lee and Swerve match, I thought, oh, they're just really going to make sure everybody gets some kind of spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when Danhausen did the thing and the Ass Boys ran out, I thought, oh, okay, what they're setting up is that's a distraction to get rid of the Ass Boys, so Hook and Danhausen can enter the match, and then
My
we'll get to
sister
see
said the
Hook.
same thing,
right? Because they just had the Rampage match where Hook beat up
the
I
DKC.
can't remember what letter. The
DKC, yeah.
DKC.
The DKC. I keep wanting to call him the DSG for Dick's Sporting Goods. But, so I kept thinking, oh, it's
great.
like
I'm going to do that now.
This is sorry, I ruined it for you. That Hook was going to come out, and that was going to be like a big spot where Hook gets to come out and do that. But no, Max Caster and Billy Gunn just beat up the entire LA Dojo.
Sam and Steven.
Why not?
This is something Kevin and I have talked about on the Boom. But did either of you ever foresee in 2022 there being a massive pop for the term "Scissor me, Mr. Ass"?
Scissor me, Daddy. Yeah,
Daddy, Scissor me, Daddy. Yeah,
Scissor me, Daddy.
Scissor me, Daddy ass. Yeah,
there were a lot of crazy visuals.
I think it was.
I love that grouping. It's never saw it coming.
It should not work, but it does.
Work.
Yeah. And they were making that. I think it was, I can't remember if it was Bowens. I think it was Bowens tweeted the other day because somebody said "Scissor me, Daddy ass," and he was like, "Please make sure you put the comma or you sound like a weird Irishman." He's like, "If there's no comma, you sound like a weird Irishman. Please."
That's hilarious.
So make sure you use the comma.
No, but if you want to know, this did tell us something because and something that I had kind of wondered. If you wanted to know where Gato and New Japan proper has New Japan's strong guys in the pecking order, this buy-in show told you. They're prelim boys.
Yeah.
And Clark Connors is getting a push now because he was in Best of the Super Juniors and really shined. He shined tonight again. The rest of New Japan strong is treated as prelim guys. I mean, this was a thing where you had Billy Gunn and Max Caster beating 4 members of the dojo.
Right.
And Nick had a good match with Lance Archer. He did his part, but he was there strictly to put Archer over and have him beat a big guy going into the big guy block, which the announcers hit very hard, very correctly during that match. But this doesn't look good for Filthy Tom in the G1. I'm thinking he's a 2-pointer. I mean, there's just no evidence that they take these guys particularly.
I really hope they don't do that.
Where do the wins come from in that block, though? Where is he going to get wins in that block?
Yano.
I hope so. I mean, I do hope. Yeah,
I love Yano, and at that match, I'm looking forward to. When I saw that block, like I was reading the matches out loud to my sister, and I was like, "Oh my god, we're getting Yano versus Filthy Tom." I didn't know how
he hasn't answered the question. He's in Okada's block too, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So someone asked. Someone asked if Filthy Tom was more excited about getting a match with Okada or getting a match with Yano, and I don't think he answered yet.
Someone's getting hit in the yam bags, as Taz would say.
Right.
Yeah,
or their nipples twisted.
Yeah, we got some titty twisters.
A lot of nipple twisting tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Way more than I ever thought, which that was the match that I wanted Charlton out there on because he will say the words that they won't say. He doesn't care.
I don't know what was a bigger surprise. The fact that I got to see Sting no selling a titty twister or the fact that I saw the dudes with attitudes in 2022.
Yeah, the 2022 version.
That tells you that WWE cares so little about that term. They just let that one go. They didn't worry about trademarking that.
Let them have it.
Let them have it. Not at all.
Not at all. All right. So But that was so they had quite a fun build up to the buy-in. Hopefully it enticed some people to buy Forbidden Door. Maybe Billy Gunn sold them, who knows. I know that I think it was Excalibur yelled, "You've got 15 seconds to join us." So the first match was kind of an interesting way to kick off the show, but it got kind of everybody got everybody kind of, I guess, got them interested in who they still definitely use Chris Jericho as somebody that they kind of anchor fans around, especially if they're not familiar with New Japan. They know Chris Jericho. So that's probably why they did it. And then obviously there's some things that happen later. So the opening match was Shota Umino, or Shooter, as most of us refer to him as. If we saw him with John Moxley, who has adopted him and made him his son, Wheeler Yuta and Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Minoru Suzuki.
I'm going to let y'all go because I missed this entire match trying to purchase the pay-per-view. I saw like 8 seconds of this match.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
This match was a blast.
Yeah.
This was a really fun match. The pacing of it was terrific. Sometimes in these 6-man matches on these pay-per-views, everybody gets a chance to shine. It's a little obvious that it's okay, now it's your turn. Okay, now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. Everything in this match kind of worked, though, in the way that the story was being told. Eddie versus Suzuki is what everybody wanted to see.
Yep.
That was more than Eddie and Jericho. We know we're going to get that. And we're all looking forward to it, but this is our chance to see Eddie and Suzuki, right?
Yeah.
And so when that tag was made, the place blew up. Shota Umino, I agree with Kevin Kelly. I think he's going to main event in New Japan someday.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a few years, but that guy's got the fire. I'm not trying to say he's going to be another Tanahashi, but that kind of pure baby.
He's in that mold.
Yeah,
he's got that kind of pure babyface energy. Wheeler Yuta with that series of suplexes on Jericho, that was terrific. Their stuff made sense. The pop in the crowd for Umino getting the Boston Crab on Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
They understood that storyline from all the way back in the dome when he put it on him in front of his father, all that stuff. I mean, there were a lot of little Easter eggs in this one that if you've been watching New Japan for a while were little nods toward you. And the crowd was right there with him, and everybody was energized. It was that crowd, like you said, had everybody fired up. I love this match.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And it was like, I think it was when it was over, we were 36 minutes into the show. So it was like substantial.
Yeah.
But it was just the how they were able to have so many little interlocking stories that were unrelated and still kind of made sense how they went. So you had, like you said, the Shota wanting revenge on Jericho for something that happened like 4 years ago. And how I liked how they played the clip of it. I can't remember when they did it. But showed the clip of like, oh, this is why Umino has a stake in this match, which I did not even recall until they brought it back up. So I'm really glad they did. I loved how over Yuta was just at the beginning, just immediately out the gate. And then and just how you thought like exactly what you said, you're going to get the Jericho showdown. So when they have the match where it's like, oh, finally Kingston gets his hands on Jericho and he says, oh no, now it's time for Suzuki. And just this constant leveling up of it. Yeah. It was great.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Shota. He's definitely improved so much, and I've heard he's been doing great in Rev Pro in the UK. So I hope maybe some of his excursion will land him over in AEW. I'd like to see him over here some more, but I know that they're also kind of treating it as like a special thing. But I think he definitely. Like he definitely, for people who had not seen him before, he definitely made an impression. And I think it was probably, I don't know if I would say, I guess maybe, it was a breakout, match for him, because I think he really put himself on the map for people who weren't familiar with him. And you think of the people he's in the match with, like he's in there with Chris Jericho and Suzuki and Eddie Kingston even. And so it's almost kind of a thing with Yuta, like where he's having to show himself and prove himself. And I think that he did a phenomenal job, and it was great. And then of course, Jericho, and I think Shota had 3 near falls, like 3 consecutive near falls, and he nearly got it again. And then Jericho, of course, won I was like, we kind of figured Jericho would get the win because, he's kind of the reason the Forbidden Door thing is happening. Because before there was an AEW, he was the one that was kind of bridging. So I think you kind of have to let him have that.
And more than that, sorry, I'm sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
I didn't really put it together until just as I haven't really recapped the whole show in my mind, but the fact of how they sandwiched it at the beginning and end as being all about blood and guts, that the match was to determine who has the advantage in blood and guts. You know, because, you know, it kind of had to be the heel. Yeah. So that sort of set it up, but then it really was a tease toward how they ended the show too. Sorry, Steven.
Which I didn't like when you said, and now that you say that, I wasn't really thinking about that either, about how it did kind of bookend the show, and they are making blood and guts feel like a really big deal, even though it's on a Wednesday night and it's for free
with lots of commercials.
Yeah, definitely. So after that match, we got the first title match of the night, and the winner takes all match with Roppongi Vice came out first because they have no titles, but they have matching gear, and they looked awesome. They looked great, and it was awesome to always love hearing the Roppongi Vice theme song. Then FTR comes out next. They have the ROH titles, and because of this, Bobby Cruz was the announcer for this match, and they brought out Caprice Coleman to do commentary, which I really love how they're bringing in the ROH guys and making sure that people who those of us who do watch ROH, that we get to see them because they're, two big parts of the company. And then for people who aren't very familiar with Ring of Honor, then, they see them. And I think that kind of puts some importance on the ROH titles, which is cool to see. And then FTR, they are also the AAA champions. However, those championships were not on the line tonight. It was just the Ring of Honor.
I was really upset they didn't have those belts tonight, but I'm guessing that might have to do with the AAA New Japan.
The petty.
AAA doesn't exist tonight now.
Petty
doesn't exist.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Just do the Will Smith Men in Black, and we're just take the thing over and pretend I didn't say it.
Yeah, there you go.
And then we had Jeff Cobb and the Great Okan, who the Powerbombshells are very big fans of.
Olympian, Jeff Cobb.
Yes, Olympian Jeff Cobb.
There you
go. Yeah, so I'm sorry.
And Olympic level party man, Great Okan.
That's right.
Who's out here saving lives and things like that too.
Lives and
living his best life, and he's doing him and Takeshita are living two very different best lives. But
they're on a
did I miss a life save by Great Okan?
Great Okan was like 2 or 3 months ago.
That's right.
Yeah,
I thought you meant like this weekend in Chicago.
I mean, maybe we haven't heard. No,
give it a couple of days, we might hear something.
I was going to say, if he was on Rush Street, he might have poured somebody into a cabin or something like that and saved their life. That's I've been that guy. Okan didn't throw me in the cab, but I've been that guy on Rush.
Maybe we'll ask Mel if she had any Great Okan run-ins tonight.
There's a real chance he saved her life.
It's possible. We never know.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
God bless you, Okan.
Yes, and so the IWGP tag team titles were on the line as well. This was a fun match. It was definitely a way to showcase a lot of great styles and championships. And Steven, what did you think of this one?
Well, I loved it. I mean, I am in the tank for FTR. They're the best tag team in the world. I could watch them all day. I was proud that I was at their coming out party. I was here in Austin, Texas, when they upset the Vaudevillains out of nowhere. In the first Dusty invitation was the beginning of their push in NXT. It was kind of a shock. It was a win over the champions in that tournament, and everyone was like, "Oh, damn! All right, so they're doing something with these two," which was great news then. And I think they've been the best team in the world basically ever since, almost really since they won the NXT titles. I think these guys are very special, and I think that this is really remarkable. I love the idea of adding them in on a temporary basis into the New Japan tag team mix, which could definitely use some freshening up. And it's just poor Goto has just been stuck with the same roster for years because of all the various restrictions and things.
Yeah.
Getting FTR into that mix, it's going to make the New Japan shows better. We're going to see some really interesting matches coming out of it. And I know it's not going to be forever or even necessarily for very long, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with this. And FTR is just on a roll right now and having one of the better tag team years. And you have to go back an awfully long way to come up with a better one. And Okan and Cobb are terrific. I think they really work well together, and Cobb is just a marvel Roppongi Vice was in this match to lose it. They were there to protect. They were there to protect the other two, but they were a really good tag team. Rocky Romero's an underrated tag team wrestler, one of the best of this generation. They showed up, they did their part, and there was some really exciting near falls in this one. And there were a couple of times when I was questioning, because I predicted FTR would win it, but they got me a couple of times. I thought, oh no, they're going to go a different direction. I loved it.
Rocky, did they get you with the injury?
No, it didn't, just because of the way the medical guys were kind of like touching his shoulder and like had their hands on it as he was walking off. It says if that thing separated, they're staying off it. Yeah, they would stay off it. So he did a good
job of kind of underselling it.
Yeah,
of not making it too showy.
Yeah, it was kind of like what the Funks did in the tag team tournament in All Japan, where Terry got sent out early, and Dory took the savage beating for 10 minutes against Ashik and Abdullah and survived, and then Terry made the heroic comeback.
So you're saying this is what they were going for out of this week?
What's that?
You said they probably watched this match in their hotel room this week?
Yeah, I mean it's on YouTube. It's one of the great matches there, and they kind of followed that pattern, and it worked again, because when Dax came back out, the place went nuts.
Yeah.
Some of Rocky's near falls really got me. Like I really, for a brief second, I was like, "Are they going to do this?" You could kind of tell who was going to take the pin at the end because commentary was putting Roppongi Vice over so much. Yeah. You knew they had to lose.
Yeah. The sneaky style did not come in at the end here. It did almost. I thought one time I was like, wow, they're gonna swerve us all, and they nearly did.
Yeah. No, this was the first match of the show really for me, and so this was a great way to kick off the pay-per-view since I didn't get to see the Jericho Appreciation Society, and overall a really good match.
Yeah, definitely. Kevin, do you have anything to add?
No, just that I share the love and adoration of FTR, and I'm really glad that they seem to that AEW and whoever else is responsible for all this, whoever is involved in decision making, seems pretty invested in saying, you know what, here's a chance for a team to have a really special year, and they've just earned it, and so I love that, 6 belts between them, and they're not the world tag team champions, but like they're equal at that point, and so I at this point I don't even know if this is going to end up with them trying to go for 4 belts or 4 titles, or if they're just going to kind of keep them on parallel tracks for a while. But
are they going to top Kenny Omega? Are they going to out belt collector the belt collector?
Yeah, you got to hit up Impact.
Guys, look who's booking this company. There's no way.
I'm surprised they haven't sent him to Strong yet. I have a Strong tag team titles.
I have a feeling of absolute dread that all of this is to serve Nick and Matt eventually.
Hope not.
I hope not.
I hope not.
I'd love to be wrong, but I have a feeling Nick and Matt are sitting there. We're going to get all of them.
Oh, I can imagine the tweets.
Fan base will handle that.
New bio coming.
Yeah, definitely. So then they followed that match up with another title match. We got the finals for the All Atlantic Championship. Clark Connors was replacing the injured Ishii versus Pac versus Malachi Black versus Miro. This was a really solid 4, even with it being Clark Connors in the Ishii spot.
Yeah, and look, this is easily one of the top 21 title belts in AEW at the moment. So I was really hyped up for this. And look, when we got the winner, I had him listed. I had the All Atlantic title listed at number 21 of the 21 titles in AEW. Right. This at least puts it top 15 for me, with Pac winning this belt,
rocketing up the charts
with a bullet.
Love seeing gold around his waist, even if it is kind of imaginary gold that Tony just pulled out of a deep closet in his office, packed with belts.
I'm a history guy. Like I have ringsidereplay.com is my history website that I write, and it does remind me of Starrcade '85 when there were approximately 17 title matches on it.
Yeah,
it's getting, because they had all the territories, but they hadn't like combined everything yet, and like the AEW is starting to feel like that. Every match is a title match. You get a title. You get a title.
So many titles.
Yeah. So I wonder where will this fall in terms of the pecking order of thing? Is it like a Mid-Atlantic kind of?
Yeah, how often is it going to be defended? Is it only going to be against foreign competition?
Well, and I kind of had wondered when I wondered if the Japan side was going to win, and they were just going to take the title with them to New Japan and maybe defend it there for a little bit.
If it was Ishii, I that was what I
kind of thought that's what they did. I thought they created this belt to lose it to New Japan.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say real quick, I didn't realize how much I needed to see Malachi Black versus Miro until I saw it. I really liked that. Those two going head to head.
That was a really good thing. But yeah, so apparently this title is because the Warner Brothers Discovery told Tony they wanted another title. So this is why this title
interesting
exists. Which is because when they first announced it, I was like, but the trios titles are like on the way. Like they're waiting. Tony Khan said a few months ago, like, we're waiting on Kenny Omega to get back. And from what I've heard, the titles are already like made and ready to go. And then surprise, there's this other title. And
in one of those interviews, he said, I've got a lot of titles laying around my office.
Yeah.
So I think he had this one. He has a 6-man. I think he had both the Owen Harts. He literally had like a dozen. He must have had a 3D printer going 24/7.
Yeah.
Right?
I think he's just got like a charge account with Belts by Dan, and he's just been having belts made since he was like 14 years old. And he's just got a whole closet of belts back there.
Probably.
What is the deal with
put them into use?
What is the deal with TV networks wanting more belts? I mean, I think, well, it's clearly because they don't understand the wrestling industry in that sense, but Universal wanted the damn 24/7 title back,
right?
And now we're stuck with those skits,
right?
And I'm the WWE. I gotta watch all this crap, and I was like, I gotta sit through all this Dana White stuff, and what do we do? I think we just need more belts. No, there's more belts.
Looking forward to Michael Nakazawa chasing Pac down, catering down the hall.
Oh man,
God,
give it to me.
Can you imagine Pac's reaction if he had to do that?
It is interesting though, what is going to end up being more important, this one or the TNT? Because we thought for a while the TNT was going to be like the work rate title, or but the one that's going to have the really good match, while the world title is only defended every so often, and all that. And now Pac could be that. I mean, Pac is a guy that can have good matches with everybody, but and then this, have Wardlow chase TNT. But which one is the number two?
Like which one is going to be the U.S. belt, and which will end up being the TV title? Is kind of where we're at right now,
right?
Or the Western States Heritage title.
Yeah, and I can see this being defended. I wonder if they'll defend it. Hopefully, it may. I wonder if the first title defense will be at Battle of the Belts, because I think it's coming up in. Is it August, September? I can't remember which one. It's coming up. It's either August or September. They're doing the next Battle of the Belts, so maybe we get the first defense then. I mean, I don't know. So. I mean, maybe it is going to be and now that Scorpio is hurt, maybe. We don't know what his injury status is, then maybe they kind of, obviously Wardlow is making a push for that title, but if Scorpio can't compete, I mean, maybe they do an interim champion, or maybe they kind of put the focus on the All Atlantic for a while.
Yeah. To answer your question, Steven, I think if it were me anyway, I think, what we've seen with Jade in the TBS title is, she is arguably the biggest women's star they have in terms of star power. And I think if they really lean into those being the TV titles, and you're more the face of the show kind of belt, like I could see like Wardlow winning TNT and being like the Rampage world champion, in a way, and letting All Atlantic kind of take the role of that workhorse title, where it's just like killer matches, but it may not be the biggest stars, and I'd be okay with that, because it would sort of set up a sort of, categories of people to play into. But
well, and then maybe it's also because if the trios title gets put in the picture, then you would think that Death Triangle is going to be involved in that whenever that comes along. I mean, who knows how quickly? Oh, it looks like we have a new guest.
Oh,
there we go.
Hey,
Grandpa Des.
Just finished watching the show.
Welcome.
Hey.
We are covering the All Atlantic Championship.
Right.
So that's where we are. And before we move on to the next thing, I just want to say that Clark Connors definitely showed out during this match, which is what I figured he would do, especially after the BOSJ that we saw. He got his spot and he ran with it, and just the spear that he had through the table was phenomenal. And then I think he speared, was it Pac that he speared after that? He speared someone else like right after. And it was just, definitely the big rhino energy, or the big horn energy. I'm sorry. It was definitely as Kevin Kelly calls it, it definitely ran through. So I was really glad to see Clark get that spot and just run with it. I thought he looked great.
I love seeing a young guy get an opportunity like this and make the most of it. Really take advantage of it. I love seeing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, do you have anything you want to add on this All Atlantic match?
Two things. There's zero chance that Clark Connors wasn't actually born in Western Canada. Like, he looks like he stepped out of Stu Hart's dungeon in 1992.
Yep.
And I want to see a Clark Connors Miro singles match on Dynamite or Rampage. Like, next week. I'm so impressed with that dude.
Yeah.
He stepped up big time. I mean, everybody was great, but I think that match was almost put together to showcase him, and he did a great job.
Yeah, definitely. He was phenomenal. So I was glad to see him get that spot. So the next match was this match we touched on earlier, but this was the Dudes with Attitudes 2022 is what I referred to it as earlier. Versus Young Bucks and ELP with Hikuleo. So poor Hikuleo was supposed to be in this match, and so was Hiramu, but then Hiramu has a fever and was unable to fly.
I cackled when I saw that the tweet of somebody telling me about that. Like, it's ridiculous. The injuries, unbelievable.
And then Hiramu posted a picture of the gear that he was going to wear tonight. He had special gear made. It says AEW like on one of the pant legs. So I'm hoping he'll get to wear that at some point. And then I'm hoping also that I'm supposed to see him in Charlotte next month. So I was like, please be healthy. I really would like to see. I love Hiramu. I'm a huge Hiramu fan. So this match had a kind of an interesting beginning, because we had Dudes with Attitude come out, but no Sting. And then we have the Young Bucks, ELP, and Hikuleo. So my thought was somebody from Bullet Club has attacked Sting.
I thought the Young Bucks were gonna bring out his body or something.
I mean,
have him like thrown over Hikuleo's shoulder.
Yeah.
I was fast forwarding through the entrances and I saw Sting's entrance, and then I'm like, all of a sudden, like, I see the Bucks looking up at the rafters. I'm like, is that Sting? Wait a minute, what did I miss? And luckily I didn't tweet about it.
Situations.
I had a stroke and I was worried Joe Gacy had actually kidnapped him. I was so confused. I'm like, oh wait, wrong crossover. No, this was Sting is 63 damn years old.
Oh my
God.
When 63. He made his actual entrance, I loved it. I was like, why are you doing this?
Because
why? If you F this up.
I was twisting my ankle getting out of bed. I mean, this dude's jumping off a structure.
The thing that I've noticed with Sting over and over again with these matches, he doesn't do much, but he's incredibly smart about what he does. And that one, they had all four guys underneath him, and it scared the crap out of me, but it worked out okay and things. And then you watch him in the rest of the match. He had some of the biggest highlights in the match, and he didn't do a whole lot. It's just that he's so smart about the timing and what he does. And it just works. I mean, he's really, really good. And at this part of it, because his body's shot, you can see it. He doesn't move that well yet. He works around that so effectively. It's really, I mean, Dustin Runnels, it makes no sense that guy is as good as he is, as old as he is. He's fantastic. But Sting can't do half of what Dustin does in the ring, but he gets so much out of what he does. Borden really impresses me with that part of this phase of his career. Really blows me away with how smart he is about what he does.
I never expected we were going to get this much out of Sting in AEW. But you're right. Like, he can't do a lot, but what he does is amazing. I mean, he's at a point in his career he doesn't even have any feeling left in his nipples, y'all. We saw that tonight. He's got to be careful, man. He's got to be careful.
Yes, gotta watch the.
He almost forgot to do that too. Did you see him just totally forget the spot?
He totally forgot that the guy was in the ring.
I forgot to do the nipple spot.
That's right. He looked at El Phantasma. El Phantasma had no idea what to do. He's like, oh shit.
I want to go back in time. I want to go back in time to 1988, right before he goes out to wrestle Ric Flair for 45 minutes and say, in the year 2022, you're still going to be wrestling and you're going to have a spot that you're going to forget to go inside so that someone can twist your nipples.
Yeah.
And the dude that's going to do it to you, like his mom is like 9 right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And Sting will look you dead. And Sting will look you dead in the eye and say, "I'll no sell it."
Yeah, that's right. I ain't selling that. That's gonna work for me, brother.
I ain't putting that over.
I really hope this helps. With his, I hope this current run helps with his Observer Hall of Fame credentials a little bit.
Is he not in yet?
I don't think he's in. He is. He's in. Oh, okay. My bad.
Because I was gonna say I kept voting for him till he got in.
Because I was really frustrated for a long time that he wasn't getting in. I didn't realize
he gets Edge. That now is the one that everyone's always talking about, but we don't want to get off the sidetrack. Sting's a Hall of Famer, no question.
Yeah.
Put him in again.
Exactly. Put his nipples in, both of them, as a tag team,
as a team.
Yeah,
I think if they do that, then Chris Charlton has to be the one to
Yes, gotta be there.
He has to induct the nipples because he would do a phenomenal job.
I'll be inducting Sting's nipples this evening. That's my.
See, this match it needed Chris Charlton so bad because Taz was talking about areolas and just talking about just none of them wanted to say. Oh, and then there was the spot where they asked,
"Are their names Harry and Airy?"
Probably. And they had Darby's like upside down, and I think it was ELP was standing on him, and they were like, "Well, where is he standing?" And like they wouldn't say like where. And it was very obvious. Like the cameras like zoomed right in on it, and it was. I was like, "See, you cowards! If Chris Charlton was here, he would tell you." He's probably
James
in the back
knows
yelling.
that my favorite Tazism is when he refers to the yam bag. So
the yam bags,
which I love.
There was many.
Stephen already brought it up today.
Game,
we were playing. He brought it up with Keith Lee.
The yam bags.
Phantasmo was having the time of his life in this match, wasn't he?
He was.
Oh,
He was.
The rake spot was great.
He was having so much fun.
Where he like licked them and then he did his little move like 4 times and then he finally does the big dramatic rake. Like it was fantastic. Like
this might have been like technically the worst Bucks match you've ever seen on pay-per-view, but they probably had the most fun they've ever had.
Everybody was enjoying this.
People watching it had fun. Like this match wasn't about star ratings. It was about Sting and it was about having fun.
I have a feeling a lot of people in this match, like Shingo, were probably loving life being in a tag team match with Sting.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because Shingo tweeted and he woke up and was like, I think the way it translated was like, I didn't know what the match was. Like, I think he didn't know he was going to be in the match. Like the way obviously Google Translate doesn't translate the greatest, but that's kind of how it came across was he woke up and found out he was in this match.
I read something awesome. that I sort of implied that Hiromu and Shingo didn't know what their match was until it was announced on Rampage.
Probably like found out, and then he's like, "No, that can't be right," and then just went on with his life, and then woke up today, and he's like, "Wait, this is really happening?
This is really happening."
Yeah, and poor Hiromu was, I guess he was watching, and he was tweeting, and he was like, "I wish I was something about like he wishes he was there," and I was like, "Poor Hiromu."
I feel so bad for him.
I do.
Believe me, Hiromu, we wish you were there too.
Yes, absolutely, definitely.
I came out of this convinced that Sting and Darby are gonna win the tag team titles from the
Bucks
at some point. Yeah,
after they beat FTR, I guess.
And then they can turn around and drop them to FTR at some point.
They've got to
totally fine with that.
Yeah,
they. I would also want to make this quick reference when not Kevin. No, yeah, it was Kevin Kelly when he yelled out "Los Stingranables de Hocon," and I just cackled at that.
There's a few of those tonight.
I was like,
there were some good ones.
Yeah, I was like, please put that on a shirt.
That was one of the.
I will wear it.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the things through the whole night that I think was just a theme of the night. Was every single person seemed like they were having the time of their life.
Yeah.
Like Tony Schiavone came out for his one match, just cracking everybody up. Like. Everyone just seemed so happy.
Yeah, Definitely.
It was a special atmosphere. And the New Japan guys, I was thinking about this too. What a morale boost it had to be in front of 16,000 people who were screaming their heads off for them after years of having to deal with the clapping and stomping and no pops and they're doing everything they can over there, but it's just not that much fun to go to a New Japan show. Like think about it, Sam, you're a huge Braves fan, and I know that you would go to games anyway, but think about it, if you had to sit there and you could only applaud, would you go as often? Probably not.
It would be hard.
And these guys coming over here to Chicago to a bunch of people who are just aching to see them and aching to scream for them and aching to pop for them. It had to be such a morale boost to all of them to come out there and that. And it swept up the AEW guys too. They were clearly more energized.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say I'm famously I wouldn't say I was down on this show, but I was, questioning whether or not I wanted to buy it. And when I turned on the pre-show and started watching, and people can go to my Twitter at Paulie's Fontaine, and you can tell how happy I was watching it, just from my first few tweets. It was just, I forgot how much I liked a lot of these New Japan guys, because every time I turn on a show, it's and Jay White making fun of them because they're not allowed to cheer. And, it's just and then, Evil. And a lot of the guys that weren't on this show are the ones that I hate.
Thank God,
Chase Owens and
I'm glad Chase Owens.
There's a few of them, right? So everybody that was here, even on the pre-show, was oh my, I forgot how much I like Goto.
Goto's great.
Yoshihashi I can put up with. The New Japan Dojo guys. So as the show progressed, and you got that feeling, you got the Japanese ring announcer, and it was just so much fun.
I really like that they did that.
Yeah. And so regardless of whether this was the best or were, in ring, it was so much fun. And I'm glad you brought that up, because everybody was having fun. The crowd, the wrestlers, the people at home, the announcers, everybody. It was so much fun.
I might be a little off here, but I also have to think that the people backstage at AEW had to have such a weight off their shoulder for this card to finally be happening, considering the unbelievable amount of headaches they had putting it together. It had to feel like the weight of the world was off their shoulders tonight, and they were just having a great time. And we talked about it before you got here, Paul. On the pre-show, the crowd really set the mood. The crowd just being on fire for these New Japan guys, I think that really set the tone for the whole night.
And you could tell they were almost shocked, at the reactions they were getting.
Yeah.
People oh, wow, they know me. They know my spot.
But Paul, the Japanese guys always are. And there's a story that Samoa Joe told, was when he worked Kenta Kobashi, I think it was in Ring of Honor. And Kobashi came over, and Kobashi is sitting in the locker room of Ring of Honor saying, "Should I throw salt? Isn't that what Japanese people do over here?" And he's like, "No, just do you." And he just said, they're not going to know who I am. And Joe is just just wait. And then they went out there, and then it is a storm of streamers that came down that delayed the match 2 minutes while they tried to get them all in the ring. And you see the moment, if you go back, you'll see the moment when Kobashi looks across the ring, and it's Joe, and just goes, and Joe's mean mugging him and all that stuff. But you can tell that Joe was just told you, they love you. You're the reason they're here. Don't worry about it. They always seem shocked for some reason, but
yeah. And I was kind of a surprise when you going back to that, was that Naito was not on this card, because Naito, a few years ago, he was blown away by the people who were coming and standing in line to see him. And I think I remember seeing video of him getting really emotional, because he didn't think that people knew who he was and would pay to meet him and stuff like that.
God, that's so wild.
Yeah, because Naito's so cute. From American fans that I talk to that watch New Japan, they love him. And so I was really surprised that he wasn't on this card, but I didn't know if, because of the surgery that he had, I mean, clearly he's wrestling again, but I was can he fly? Is that a thing? I don't know why he was. It seems a little odd that he was not on this card. You would think, clearly, I mean, we're not going to do they're not going to give away all their big matches on the first show, because there's clearly going to be a second one, but you would think that Naito is somebody that they would have on this show. So it was a little interesting to see.
I hope that at some point we do get the we're so close right now that I hope that someday we will get the 6-man of tag team of the reunion of Los Ingobernables with Rush
Well, but
Andrade
see,
and
we're back into the politics there.
I know, but
we're back into the politics because Andrade and Roosh are both persona non grata with CMLL, and you know, like they just did. They brought back the shirts with Roosh and Andrade, Los Ingobernables, and then we had LIJ members on this show, and the word was said.
No,
there's no Roosh, no Andrade, nothing.
Yeah, when I was on the media call on Friday, Tony said, he was like, well, the reason I did this match on Rampage with Andrade and Phoenix is because of wrestling politics, and they wouldn't allow me to put this on the pay-per-view, and this is a pay-per-view quality match. So I'm giving it to you on Rampage because that's the only way I can do it.
And you can tell that's what he told him too. Go out and have the match you would have had on the pay-per-view.
That was a pay-per-view quality match. Like that was one of the best matches Rampage has had. That was really incredible. And I think, and then, you know, they got like you said, they got their shirts on at the end, and they even had the thing where they did with Jose, the assistant, and Alex Abrahantes. So maybe we get a buy-in match with them.
It's like a goal. It's like a goalie fight in hockey. You're like, oh god. Yeah.
And my sister was like, why is Jose's shirt always off? Like he always takes
really for real.
Hey, I would.
I mean, he's definitely like he's ripped, so I get it. But like he's always like his shirt is always off within like 3 seconds.
It's like that Matt Damon's Matthew McConaughey impression. Yeah, it's like I think it's be a good time for me to take my shirt off.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to change I don't want to change topics here. But if there is a Forbidden Door 2, do you do Forbidden Door 2 in Tokyo?
Tony said he wants to do a match in Japan. He said he's never done one before, obviously. So why not do Forbidden Door? Forbidden Door 2 there.
Forbidden Door.
Forbidden Door.
That's the sequel,
in Berlin.
Unless they just go, unless they send AEW talent to the Tokyo Dome, maybe, and that could be like their.
Yeah.
Well, and we could get Danielson. You know, Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. might happen at Wrestle Kingdom, maybe.
Yeah.
One of my friends really wants AEW guys at one of the nights of Wrestle Kingdom, so you would have the June show and then the January show with a little bit of AEW versus New Japan, and that's not a bad idea if they decide to go that direction, but I doubt it.
I'd be curious to see, you know, with AEW now being on New Japan World, and I'm sure this show is something they're going to measure to see, you know, how much interest it takes. You know, if AEW starts to really find an audience in Japan, I think for sure you could see them doing that as a co-promoted show, or AEW doing a little bit of a tour or something.
Yeah,
definitely. Before we pop on to the next match, I'm going to for the people who tuned in late, and also Paul, who was not here for this part earlier, we have the wonderful people over at Canvas Theory who are going to give viewers a 10% discount off their order if you use the code Powerbomb. And you can see Carl Fredericks has got his Okami hat on. He's got a collection with them that he's doing right now. He's got a couple of hats. Mel did she did an unboxing a few weeks ago, and they've got some other cool hats. So definitely check them out and make sure you use the promo code Powerbomb for 10% off of your order.
I love really that there's a Carl Fredericks collection. Yeah, the Carl Fredericks collection.
This sounds like it's
I love that.
Yeah. Yes. All right, so we got the next match here is the lone women's match. Some of us, including me, did not think we were going to get a women's match just because New Japan does not have women's matches. So I think a lot of us assumed we were not getting a women's match, and Tony surprised us. Maybe he heard the complaining, or maybe this was the plan all along. But they did a really cool thing where they had it be against Toni Storm, who has, she has been in Stardom. Thunder Rosa has too. So the Japanese fans are likely familiar with both women. So I thought that was really smart to do this match here. It was a title match. We've seen Toni kind of coming more into her own lately. She cut a really great promo on how she wants to be champion, and it kind of definitely seems like it lit a fire under Thunder Rosa for sure. And so, James, what did you think about this one?
It was a good match. I'm glad they got a women's match on the card. I was really worried about that because they got like some of their women are some of the hottest properties they have right now. With Jade, with Thunder Rosa, Toni Storm. It was a good match. I kind of wanted a little bit more out of it, and I also missed about 5 minutes of it because I had to take my dog out to pee. So.
Of course.
So maybe it was better than I thought it was. I thought it was good, but I still wanted a little more.
I thought it was pretty good. I think Tony is getting her groove back. If you've listened to some of the podcasts that Toni Storm has done since she left WWE, she did one with Jericho. She did one with Renee Paquette. WWE sucked the life out of her. And they weren't using her, she wasn't getting playing time, so to speak. And that's how kind of Chris Jericho put it. He just said, you're like a really good hockey player who just couldn't get on the ice for that particular team. You had to leave, and I feel like she's getting that back now. She just seems like she's feeling it again. And I think her matches have gotten better and better. I think she and Thunder Rosa really worked well together in this one. And Toni, when she's on, is as good as anybody in the world, I think. I mean,
I agree.
I think she could have been her matches with Rhea Ripley in NXT UK were some of the best things that company ever did, including the men. And there are a lot of good men in that company too, NXT UK, but they were right up there with them. And seeing her energized again is good. Thunder Rosa's, of course, having a wonderful run as with AEW, and I think both of them showed up. I think it looked pretty good. This cooperation with New Japan could lead to some things because, of course, New Japan and Stardom are both owned by Bushiroad, the entertainment and toy conglomerate out there. And they're going to do a co-branded show later in the year. I think this opens the door for perhaps AEW and Stardom crossover in the future. It's not time yet.
I really hope so. Yeah,
me too. And there's a lot of good possibilities here. I thought this was a good match. I kind of like the little storyline and they gave Toni kicked out of her finisher. They gave her that. So they're clearly not burying Toni. I don't know if she's one. I don't think she's one and done. I think this is something that, if not necessarily a feud with Rosa, but I think they still want to do things with Storm. Right. And an interesting thing where Thunder Rosa kept doing Dustin's moves, and they made a very specific point to mention that over and over again. That's going somewhere, and I'm curious to see where. Yeah. So, I mean, I thought it was an enjoyable part of the show and was different than the other matches, and it was nice.
Yeah. Paul and Kevin, do you have anything you want to add about this one?
What I thought was that the match was good and on its own, and I thought the commentating made it better. Where Agreed. Normally when JR is commentating on some of these matches, he tends to lose interest and he brings the matches down. And I thought that Kevin Kelly and Excalibur in particular were really telling the story, like Steven mentioned about the moves of Dustin's and just the struggle. And they were even talking about how Toni Storm was favored. And then so the viewer is watching and kind of expecting her to win. So when Rosa won, even though she was a champ, it came off as an upset. And I thought like that was an added element that almost none of the other matches had on the show. So it was the only AEW exclusive match other than like one on the pre-show, but it was I thought it was really good. Like, and again, it some people are, and they may not be wrong, say it was like the worst in-ring match in the show, but that was an incredibly high standard on the show. Exactly. Yeah.
There was
like
some
maybe
really
the
good
only other one
matches
that
on
was
this show.
close was probably like the Bucks. Because it was just like a fun match. So, but that again, that's no shade on the women because they had a really good match.
It was a really good match. Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
And I was gonna say a lot of people on the timeline seem to be surprised that Toni didn't win, but I kind of always assumed Thunder Rosa would win, but she's going to Japan to be in TJPW. So even though she's not going to have her title on the line, it would make sense to send her to Japan representing AEW as the women's champion. And then Taya Valkyrie, also the same night that announcement was made, Taya Valkyrie challenged her for the title in that company that we don't mention on this show because it's New Japan because of wrestling politics, but Taya challenged her for that title. So it makes sense that she's gonna hold, even if she's not defending the AEW World Champion, that she goes to represent AEW as their women's champion. So I assumed she was gonna win here, even though I thought Toni Storm definitely gave her money's worth. I think that this is probably the best match that Thunder Rosa has had since she's won the title. I thought that Toni looked really good here, and I think Toni was probably her best opponent that she's had since she's won the title.
Yeah, and beyond that, I don't think it's time for Thunder Rosa to lose it. I think there's still a lot of life in this title reign. The fans are with it. She has a very interesting charisma to her. It's not time yet. And Toni might have a day sometime. She's not there. She's not very old. She's in her mid-20s. Plenty of time for all that. But this Rosa run, not over yet.
No.
And I think you were the one that said it earlier, Steven. It was you or Sam that I don't think this is it for Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm. I think this is going to keep going for a little while, and I hope it does.
Me too. And so the next match that we got after this was well, actually before the match started, we got a message from Rock Hard Juice Robinson.
Such an unfortunate name.
He's right? I talked about this on a couple of episodes ago. I love Juice Robinson. He's one of my favorites, but I was like, I don't know that I would wear a shirt that says Rock Hard on it. I might keep wearing. I have a flamboyant Juice Robinson shirt that I got when I was in Chicago for All In. I did the meet. I don't remember if it was when I did the meet and greet with Okada or the meet and greet with CM Punk, but I went to the store and my sister found it and she was like, it was the only one they had. And she was like, well, I'm going to let you have it. I was like,
that's a good sister.
That is a good sister. Yeah. And I talked to, because I actually got to tell Juice that story where he's come to Charlotte a couple times for my local promotion. And he was like, I love that shirt. And I was like, and my sister was like, I picked it out. And he was like, well, you're a good sister. So Juice, he had the title. He had the U.S. Championship. He lost it because of he needed to have surgery. He came back because he had appendicitis on the morning of Dominion, and so he ended up losing that title. Except for he has the title with him. So as Kevin Kelly likes to point out, possession is 9/10 of the law. So even though Will technically is the champion, Juice still has that title. And so he keeps saying that the match tonight between Ospreay and Orange Cassidy was a number one contenders match, not an actual championship match.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that and not an interim.
Yeah. Did he, the only thing I thought in this, I thought he outshone Jay White. Like, with the two of them, because Jay White cut a promo right after
when they were together.
Jay White came off as like just a dude, whereas Juice was like a star.
Juice has so much personality too.
Yeah. Jay needs to be talking to people. You know what I mean? Like Jay's not so great in those.
But even
looked
like
interviews.
He was wearing like sweatpants and a shirt.
Yeah, that's kind of his look.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I just I don't know. He doesn't. Maybe that's part of the gimmick. Like I said, I don't watch as much New Japan as probably the rest of you. So maybe part of the gimmick is that he's vulnerable. Like I don't know.
I think Jay, he's just better when he's either yelling at a bunch of reporters or yelling at an arena of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he needs an audience. He needs an audience to yell at. He's just not as great at the camera.
Yeah.
I am glad that they actually did. I think part of my issue with the show is I was looking at it so much from being an AEW viewer and not a New Japan. I mean, I follow New Japan, but I really only like the last several months. It's really just kind of wait till the show's over and find out what match I should go watch. So I'm not as following it as closely. So I was, from my perspective, I was glad they finally explained, or at least help you picture why Will Ospreay's the champion, but he's wearing a British heavyweight title belt, and and who actually is the champion. It's that kind of thing, because this is the first time I think they've even shown Juice on AEW, any kind of AEW programming. So I was glad that they set that apart and then had him in the box watching the match, and ELP's up there going like that because they kept shining the light on him.
And Hikuleo was just hanging out and just glad to be there.
For real.
I think I don't keep stats on this. I'd have to look it up, but I think that IWGP US title is among the most vacated.
Yeah, absolutely.
In pro wrestling history.
Some people think that title is cursed, especially when Juice got, like, people are like, yeah, it might be cursed, because I think they were saying it with the title run before that. When Sonata had the orbital injury and had to vacate the title, and
all the way back to Moxley.
Yeah, exactly.
Moxley
and then
vacated.
Yeah,
well, and then he had it for 2 years, right? Like, or something. Without having defending it or something, or a year.
Yeah, it was something crazy.
And then pandemic.
And then so Juice, like the morning of Dominion, when they were like, he was in pain and he couldn't, they had to take him to the emergency room, and people were like, this title, they're like, I don't really believe in curses, but now I think this title is cursed, because every single one.
New Japan version of the Defense Against the Dark Arts position in Harry Potter.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely. So this match, I think it was nice to see. This was Orange's first match back since his injury, and I think he reminded a lot of fans of what he can do, that he's not just a gimmick, like he can show out.
This was match of the night for me, and it was really pleasant surprise. Like,
me too.
That's not who I wanted to be matched up against Will Ospreay. But Kevin and I were talking about this last week, and that we know it'll be a good match. This was a freaking great match.
Yeah, it really was. And I know, like, it's kind of way past due to say, like, Orange Cassidy really surprised me. It's like, no, Orange Cassidy has established himself as a really great in-ring performer. The thing that really strikes me is how well he has learned to integrate the gimmick with having credible matches. So, like, he can do the comedy gimmick. He can do, like, the thing he did with the Pac match where everyone's like, I don't know how to handle you sticking your hands in your pockets, you know? But, like, in this match, it was, and a lot of it's Ospreay too, how he played off of it. But to be able to do the character while still also maintain the credibility of the match, I thought he did such a good job of that. Of, like, like doing the pockets thing before the bell rang, like just little things like that like didn't undermine Ospreay or make Ospreay look like a fool.
Something just occurred to me this very second. Do you think Will Ospreay might have had extra motivation to put on a great match, considering Kenny Omega's comments a few days before?
It's possible.
I think he's like Michael Jordan, and it's like you could just, got the wrong sandwich that day, and he took that personally and wanted, I'm going to take that out.
Catch me up on this. What did Kenny say? Did I missed this?
I think it was something about he shouldn't be bragging about all his 5-star matches or something like
that. Talked about how he's had a bunch of forgettable forgettable 5-star matches.
Yeah. If there is one thing Kenny, Nick, and Matt love, it's talking about stars. They are slaves to Uncle Dave and their stars there. That's I hope Will just ignored that. It's not worth it.
I was watching this match and I'm like 10 minutes in and I'm like, okay, this match is all right. Like it, and like Ospreay's doing the thing and he's, like teasing Orange, and Orange is doing the hands of the pants, and I'm like, all right, this is all right. When's it gonna be over? Will's gonna win, whatever. And then all of a sudden, it was like, oh my god, what just happened? And then the last 10 minutes, it was incredible. And like, I agree with James. Like by the end of the match, it was the match of the night, and I don't even know how it happened. And and I feel like that happens with me every time I watch Will Ospreay. Because I'm watching the matches, I'm like, everybody says this guy's great, and I'm like, I'm just not seeing it. And by the end of the match, I'm like writing down my star rating, 4.75, 4.5. Yeah. The guy's like the best. Like I think he's the best in the world because I hate him.
I think he is,
and I still love his matches.
I think he is too. Yeah, I agree with you guys.
Argue with that.
I think I'm supposed to hate him.
You want to talk about some? We talked about a terrific near fall earlier. This match had like 3 where I thought, God dang, they are going to put this on Juice.
Like
on Orange.
Well, you have to have
seen.
We needed
them
Orange
get that
Juice.
close.
Well, and you know what even got me was the promo ahead of time.
Thank you. I'm glad Kevin heard it.
I've been building up the promo ahead of time where you got the impression, okay, there's no way that Juice is actually going to give the belt to whoever wins this. So it would make sense for Orange to win and not get the belt. Whereas if Will wins, he's the heel. He's got to get the belt. So that's where in the back of my head, I'm thinking maybe Orange is going to win, and then so I was buying into these near falls.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's the way they put the promo ahead of time, I think maybe conditioned you to believe that there's a possibility that we could get an upset here.
Yeah, right now, Ospreay and Okada are probably the 2 best in the world at doing that, barely getting out just in time near fall. That makes you think, we are going to see that. Oh no, we're not. Okay.
Yeah.
But great effort by both guys.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kevin.
Earlier today, I finally caught up with the GCW match of Ospreay versus Nick Wayne, young Nick Wayne.
I still need to see that.
Everyone's been talking about.
I need to see it.
I didn't intend to I'm going to watch this so I can compare it with the Orange Cassidy match. But it was just like, it's the afternoon. I've got an hour before the pre-show starts. I'll look it up on YouTube because it's just been posted on YouTube. And I watched it. It's fantastic. I mean, it's like fantastic. It's that GCW crowd where they're just all pressed up against the ring, and it feels like a playground fight or something, Great drama, great things. A lot of the structure of it was actually similar to the Orange Cassidy match. It was structured a lot the same way. And I don't know what the ratings are, people who rate that stuff, but the Orange Cassidy match was better in my opinion. And a lot of it was because of the character work that Orange Cassidy brought to it. and it was just bigger scope. It just had a little more drama to it. I mean, the 16-year-old, Will Ospreay in his past wrestling current Will Ospreay, is like a great story, like the Nick Wayne story, basically like he's wrestling his future and goes to Chris's past and all that. But I was sleeping on Orange Cassidy. I forgot, and he reminded me who he was tonight.
I think that's what it was. Like, we both knew, Kevin. We both knew. We all knew, but we haven't seen him in a long time. We haven't seen him since he randomly beat Adam Cole out of the blue, and we tend to forget. We tend to remember indie Orange Cassidy.
Yeah. So
no new theme song though.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's two quick things. I was gonna mention the theme song. Apparently, from what I heard, they are like 95% approved to use. Jane, something didn't. There's like a few things they're waiting on because that's what we were waiting for. My sister,
Monday.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The people who send you the emails don't work on the weekends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and my sister was like, "That's not the other." They're like, she was like, "That's the Pixies," and then I saw my friend sent me a text and said it was a tweet, and it was saying that they aren't quite there yet. So I guess maybe it'll be there for if he has something he's doing on Blood and Guts. But another thing I wanted to mention real quick about the where they almost felt like they were going to put the title on Orange was it. I was at Double or Nothing last year, and that was the match that was the triple threat, and it was a few times like it looked like Orange Cassidy was going to beat Kenny Omega for the title, which, I mean, obviously I was like, he's doing the whole belt collector thing. They're clearly not going to take it off him, but they made you believe like it could be. And my sister and a friend were also there with, I was there with media. So I was sitting away from them, but they said there were two guys sitting in front of them who were losing their minds because they thought Orange Cassidy was going to beat Kenny Omega. And she said when Kenny ended up with the win, like they were like devastated because they thought it was going to happen and it just didn't. And so that's a lot of this match tonight reminded me of that match where like, it seems like, because people look at Orange and they're like, oh, he's a comedy wrestler. Like he's never going to be a champion. But I mean, they could. I mean, maybe not the world champion. Maybe it's the TNT title, but like he could carry a title and he could defend it well, I think.
And it's so great because that's the character they're selling us. They're selling us a guy who gets continually underestimated by top wrestlers. Yeah. And he continually shocks them because he's actually a really good athlete. And it works twofold. It works in storyline and it works on us.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So this one was a really fun match. Is there anything else you want to add to this one before we move on to the next thing?
Shibata.
Right. Oh, yes. I did have that. Yeah. I had that in my notes, but yeah. So Shibata.
Paul's little secret.
Yeah.
Well, because I had a feeling he was going to be on the show, and so I was hoping he was actually going to be the one that was going to be wrestling Zack Sabre Jr. and then joining BCC. But this was pretty cool too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really cool and not what you expected. I am a little nervous about Shibata being in the ring with Will Ospreay.
Oh God,
Will Ospreay is dangerous. He's a little reckless. I immediately thought of when he concussed Ibushi in their match a few years ago, and Ibushi did not know where it was. So I'm very concerned about Will Ospreay being in a match with Shibata.
God help us if we ever get Will Ospreay versus Ray Phoenix. Might not be any survivors. No survivors.
Or they may not hurt each other well because they'll just be running around so fast that they never touch.
That's true.
Or the other one is Darby. Like him and Darby would be insane. Like because Darby's like legit trying to kill himself in every single match. So
yeah. They're going to say that for Forbidden Door too, maybe.
Darby's going to come off the ceiling at some point on his skateboard. It's just a matter of time.
Right.
And Will just catch him.
Yeah.
Flip him into a Stormbreaker or whatever.
Yeah. So
do you read the Shibata thing as like any sort of hint toward a build or just like a feel good moment for the US crowd?
Yeah, it sure felt like they were heading towards Ospreay versus Shibata. I don't know why you do that much, with
I'm assuming he's going to get a title shot would be my guess, but how can you not put the title on Shibata though? Like, is Will going to be, but on the other hand, if this is the cursed title, then don't put that on Shibata.
Well, if I can mention New Japan history here for just a little bit, there is a tradition of somebody coming back after a very long layoff and losing their return match. Even Antonio Inoki did that.
Oh,
when he was out for a long time in his first match back, he lost. It's kind of the whole thing with like, he's still got some ring rust. He's not ready yet. So that's
when did he wrestle? Was it Red Narita? What was that?
That was the Tokyo Dome, wasn't it?
That was this year.
Yes, that was the Dome.
Okay, but that's the only match he's had in like the last 4 years, other than the.
Which is why I'm very concerned that Ospreay might be his second match. I'm very concerned about that.
I'll say this: I was watching the pay-per-view like as myself, and also trying to watch through the eyes of like casual AEW fans who might not know New Japan people. And Shibata came across like such a superstar.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you don't go in knowing anything about any of the guys, like I feel like fans are going to want to see him again in AEW real bad.
Right.
As soon as his music hit and the crowd just lost it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was similar to Minoru showing up at All Out. But I think even more than that, because it was like, wait, no way.
Yeah.
Like, whereas with Suzuki, it was
I didn't
like,
think it was a possibility.
Course. Yeah, with Suzuki, it was like you knew it could happen, and oh my god, we're gonna get to see Suzuki, awesome, Whereas with this guy, it was like no freaking way,
Which how lucky are the Chicago fans? Because you're talking about basically the same group of people.
Yeah. They're getting spoiled, definitely. And then we got the cool moment with Orange Cassidy putting his sunglasses on.
I love that.
That was fantastic.
Shibata looked like you're getting yours, dude.
He was having fun with it though. He was waving him back into the ring, and he was
and then who was it? Somebody on commentary like pointed them back to go back to the ring because they started to move away from it, and they realized Shibata called Orange Cassidy back into the ring, and I guess wanted to make sure the fans saw it, and then Orange Cassidy just like rolled back out of the ring and was like, I guess giving Shibata his moment.
Yeah, I think that was what part of it was. Also, this show, and this is a good time to mention it because they really didn't. They were already moving on to the next thing as the guys were walking back up the aisle. The pacing of this show was bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
They did not waste a ton of time on. I mean, God, you watch WWE shows, you get 30 minutes of video packages before anything happens.
That's why I'm late. I started the show an hour in, and I figured I'll catch up.
No, not in this one.
Like 45
there was
minutes.
nothing. There was nothing to fast forward through.
No,
I mean they were talking about the next match while the guys were walking up the aisle from the last one.
Which is a very New Japan thing to do.
Yes,
y'all.
Right as soon as the guy's out, like.
But it makes the show fly by when you do it that way. Like this show, by the end of the show, I was like, "That's it." I wanted more.
I've talked to you, Kevin, about this, and you, Paul, about this. I don't know if I've talked to you and Steven about this, Sam. Every AEW pay-per-view in the last year or two, I am dead by the main event.
Right.
This one, I was fired up through the whole thing. This one was perfect length and the perfect pace. I hope they learned from this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, my friends and I, that's like a conversation we kept having because we both watch, all of us in the group chat all watch AEW and New Japan, and so that's what we were wondering, like, is this gonna be AEW pacing or is this gonna be New Japan pacing? And like, is this gonna be a 5-hour show or is this gonna be like New Japan's kind of gotten down to where they're doing like these 3.5-hour shows or they're doing 4-hour shows because of the pandemic? They kind of were cutting things down, and so it was nice to see that this pacing I think works really well. So maybe it's something that Tony will be like, oh, okay,
Tony Khan needs some Gato in his life.
We got I think it was 12 matches in 4 hours and 47 minutes.
That's
pretty
nice.
pretty
That's
good.
awesome.
And they were all good. Like,
there wasn't a bad match.
And all the booking made sense. Like really, there wasn't anything that happened tonight that didn't make sense, and there hasn't been a whole lot of sense in AEW since Punk got hurt. I mean, it's been
they're just
it's been
flying by the seat of their pants.
Booker of the Year, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a wreck since then. I remember Tony said, "Well, I don't have a plan B. I can pivot," and we're learning that no, Tony, you should have.
You should probably.
I could nitpick a couple things, but I had so much fun in this. I don't even want to.
I think it was a lot of fun.
Well, it was. That's the whole point. That's why I don't.
My only nitpick is coming up.
My only nitpick is for the next match as well.
Yeah, I know what it is.
Oh, really? Okay.
So we'll just go ahead and go right into this match. So this was the penultimate match. It was for the IWGP Heavyweight.
No.
Wait, did I skip something?
Zach
No. I'm looking at I'm sorry. I'm looking at my notes and looked exactly over it. I'm so sorry. Back that up because this match was really I enjoyed this match. So apparently we don't have I'm nitpicking about the match afterwards. The
nitpick, I'll say it. The nitpick is almost every member of Blackpool Combat Club was there, including William Regal. And there was no teammates walking him out. There was no William Regal walking him out. And the thing is, it's a tiny nitpick. I was just excited for Claudio. Everybody was just excited for Claudio. I kind of wish William Regal had walked him out.
I think they're backstage talking Eddie off a ledge at this point.
Yeah, judging by the end of the show.
Well, because we'll
that
circle
could be
back to that at the very end because there was some yelling going on.
Yeah, that could be the storyline explanation. Legit, almost.
I could see that. Okay,
I think they just wanted it to be Claudio's moment.
Yeah,
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
But it's a fair point. It's a fair point that if he's in a group, that the group should introduce him. It's absolutely a fair point. But I do think that in the end, I think they just decided we're going to let him have this to himself.
Yeah. And this was probably my second favorite match of the night. I really, really liked this one.
Yeah, I think.
But this also, delve into that a little bit. This was Daniel Bryan's pick. Yeah. So or Bryan Danielson. My apologies. So it could be a fact of where he shows up and the other guys are like, wait, what? So they're not. That's why they're not. Which
actually works in the storyline.
Yeah, maybe Danielson didn't tell them either because he said he wasn't telling anybody. So
even at the end, he was the last one to come out, so he didn't come out with the rest of them. And then when he came out and saved everyone, most of the team was happy to see him.
Right.
But I thought this was. I made the point on Twitter that this reminded me of the Ruby Riott pop, that in the same city. It was incredible. It was okay, this is somebody that, we like, that's been in WWE forever, that's been held down, and we want to see them, and we're so happy they're here.
Mm-hmm.
I hope the follow-up is better. And I think it will be, because, even just having him come out at the end at the main event tells me that.
Your cat is doing amazing things behind you.
Yeah,
and I'm here for it, man.
I'm a fan. This thing needs its own YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Just wait.
As a matter of fact, duck down, Paul. Never mind.
Did you guys ever see the show where I had two cats that got into a fight behind me?
No.
Yeah.
I think was that the one with you, James?
I think I was on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was mine.
I think I've
and you
heard
could
about
see it coming. They were.
It was, and it happened right around the ring, if I remember correctly, on or around the ring.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Your cats are excellent workers.
I'm sorry I just sidetracked all of us.
No.
We were all looking at him.
Yeah.
I nearly thought though when Claudio got in the ring, I thought they were for a split second. I thought they were going to squash the SJ, and I was about to be a little upset with that.
I totally bought that.
I like the tease. It was a great tease.
Yeah, I was like, they're really not going to do. My sister said the same thing. She's like, they're not going to do Zach like that, right? They can't.
The way they've been doing Zach this whole time though was kind of not giving him.
Well, it almost made me wonder. Maybe he's hurt.
Well, right. I thought and. People disagreed with me in the Facebook group, but I thought they really put themselves in a corner because to me, you need to protect Zach. If they're planning on doing Danielson match anytime in the next 6 months, whether it's in Japan or I felt like you shouldn't have Zach lose. On the other hand, you can't have a debuting guy lose.
No.
So my argument was that they shouldn't have done a surprise. What they should have done
very fair point.
Was use the opportunity to take a Wheeler Yuta and build it up in storyline where Danielson, it's not as high profile a match. It wouldn't have been third from the top. It wouldn't have been all that. If the priority is how to debut Claudio, they did the right thing. I
think they can rescue this, and I think that what was going to happen. I thought Zach was going to win the match with Danielson,
and I did too.
And I still think that is probably going to be the direction because Danielson has said in he loves putting people over. He loves just having a big match and then putting someone over strong at the end. I think he was going to do it for Zach. And I think that they have time now, if they're going to do this either at the Dome or at Forbidden Door 2, whenever that is, to bring Zach in and build him up if they want to, or just having him come in and beat Danielson would would do the job. So
Right.
I agree. I understand they did kind of paint themselves into a little bit of a corner and they didn't have a choice, but they can rehab Zach pretty quick if they had put a little time into it.
Well, and I wondered, like, when Danielson was coming out and he was saying he was going to handpick, a few names popped in. I was like, well, are they going to pull Yuta from the 6-man match? Then I thought, well, maybe they or are they going to pull, like, maybe they put Daniel Garcia in this spot, or maybe Lee Moriarty is not on the card. Like, those are the 3 names that I thought of. And then I saw people talking about Jonathan Gresham as well. And I was like, well, you can make that work. You know, he's a fan. I'm a fan of Jonathan Gresham. And I was like, well, maybe if they're not debuting somebody, like, maybe this is where the route that they're going. Because I thought if you're going to have Zack Sabre Jr. win, then you could do a Yuta or a Garcia or even a Jonathan. I mean, Jonathan Gresham has the ROH title. So maybe, is Joe hurt? Is he still, is he like, hurt. Yeah. He's legit hurt, right?
I've heard various.
I heard Joe was doing a TV show.
Yeah, I've heard.
Okay.
I've heard Joe has an acting gig or something.
Oh, okay.
That's what I heard.
Okay.
I think Chuck Taylor's the only uninjured guy in AEW right now, frankly.
I pulled a hamstring watching the show. I pulled a hamstring watching the show. I'm down for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I've got a slip disc, legit. Yeah.
Yeah, jeez. Yeah, no, that was Gresham is terrific, and but after the build-up that Danielson gave the name, it's just no way they could have done that.
And then when you also have him, I think the biggest clue was when he named Eddie Kingston. He was like, Eddie Kingston says that I am a judgmental prick, and I am. And so I was like, okay, I think I know.
That should have been the giveaway.
I was like, I think that's our answer right there. And I actually wrote an article for Daily DDT about which match would steal the show, and it was Zach versus his mystery opponent, and that was one of the things that I included. Was I think that was our answer.
And when it comes to the actual winner, to me, it's got to be Claudio, because he's going to be a full-time guy, which means by the time we see Zack Sabre again, Tony Khan will have been able to have him have Claudio in maybe 2, even 3 matches over the next 6 months.
Yeah.
I would bring I would have the Dangerous Techers come in and beat Moxley and Danielson in a tag team match. Have and Zach pin Danielson, and then that's how you get to the singles match.
Yeah,
or
Cesaro and Danielson now. Yeah,
or Cesaro.
Claudio, I got to train myself to say Claudio.
Yeah.
I'm having a weird irrational negativity about Claudio coming in, and I don't know why.
I feel the same as you. No, there's maybe one too many WWE guys.
That's how I feel. Is like I feel like they're getting into this pattern of our solution is to bring in a new person from WWE that everyone loves, and I totally agree. I love him. I have always supported him. I've always felt he's under it, like one of those Miro type guys who's like, he just needs to be in the place where he can thrive. So it's like I should be very thrilled about this, and I don't know if it's because he's in Blackpool Combat Club and I feel like he's a little too bougie for that, or like
How dare you?
like I don't know if you noticed, like his Blackpool Combat Club jacket that he came in and was like,
you wanted to
maybe
be
he's the one.
If there's one thing that Claudio loves, it is matching ring jackets. Like every tag team he's in, he's like, put this on,
Moxley's like, I'm not putting on that shit.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know.
I'll wear my hoodie and that's it.
Right.
Well,
so
and we've also
the designer Blackpool Combat Club gear available on Shop.
That's what I'm telling. Maybe Claudio is actually the one who's golfing, not in the Blackpool Country Club.
I really laughed when Zach called it the Blackpool Country Club.
Me too.
That was fabulous, and he's lending it. He gives that a little bit of credibility that there might be a pro shop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Some Pim's
Kevin.
And,
I kind of feel like your reaction to Claudio kind of goes back to what we were talking about on the Boom about Tony is putting these WWE people like Tony Storm ahead of, to the detriment of fans, ahead of your Chris Statlanders, who all the fans are behind. She was on an indie show tonight. Oh, was she?
Mm-hmm.
Was she?
Okay.
Wow. It's weird though that I don't think people hold that against Tony Storm, but
no,
like some people might hold it against Athena.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like, Christian versus
Marco
Claudio or something. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I think it's an irrational thing. I think I just I don't know. I think I just wanted a little less WWE in my blood and guts, or I don't know. I'm sure it'll be great. I'm sure in 3 weeks I'll be thrilled with them. And
I think what happened is like on the Rampage before Double or Nothing, I think that was the short. Maybe it was the Dynamite because I was at both and I can't remember which was which. But when you saw that reaction to Chris and the anti-reaction to Ruby, and I think it was at that point that it's where it's starting to click with fans. We're seeing too many WWE people.
Right.
So anybody that comes in
MJF
after
just
that
had to go
point,
hit it with a hammer.
yes, exactly. So I think anybody that comes in after that point, it's going to be in the back of your head. That
Except,
wait a minute,
but at the same time, people loved it tonight.
right?
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Well,
Huge
and I
reaction.
think that's
Yeah.
one
He's
of the
a
things
guy
too
who
that
I
you-
wish was in AEW from the beginning.
Yeah,
But
but
if
I
you
think
have
that's the
to
guy that you
choose now
can't not
between
find
Cesaro
him.
and Kingston, who are
Yeah,
you going to choose?
you can't.
Right.
Kingston.
No.
Well, I did think about
Yeah.
that just in terms of the Blood and Guts feud, or just that whole storyline, right? This all started with Santana being in the inner circle and wanting to be on his own, right? So then
Yeah.
Santana makes friends with Eddie, gets put down in the pecking order again. Then they make friends with the Buffalo Combat Club. Eddie becomes number 2 or number 3 in that feud because Moxley's their top star, and now Claudio's in, and the freaking world champion, is crowned at the show, and the big moment is Claudio doing the giant swing.
Yeah,
So that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
I feel you on that.
Yeah, Santana and Ortiz now are starting to get into the old underutilized category there in AEW. I think they're the second best team behind FTR there, and I know that that's a debatable thing, but I'd rather watch them than anybody except FTR. And right now, I don't feel like I feel like they're getting into that, heading towards that afterthought phase.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe with
and
Blood
I
and
feel-
Guts, maybe we see what we were seeing with them before.
Yeah, maybe.
I hope so, at least.
Perhaps.
I always assumed they'd be one of the first 3 tag champions, and I don't love the idea of putting the belts on everybody, but I really thought they'd get the belts before Jurassic Express.
Me too.
For real.
I think a lot of people did, and I think they were really surprised.
But you're right. Right now is the time when it's like, oh, like it may never happen, and that's what it's starting to feel like.
I hope not. I really hope not. All right, so we will move to the match that I skipped or tried to put ahead of ZSJ and Cesaro, Claudio, which apparently I see that I wrote Cesaro in my notes and didn't even realize it till just now. This match was actually the match for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. It was Adam Cole versus Hangman Page versus Okada versus Jay White.
The crowd was really excited to see Okada, which
that's
how I would feel if I was in the building. I would have just been like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, I'm seeing Okada."
That's how
I was at
Steven,
All In
you
when I
said
saw
you were
him.
That's how I was at Dallas.
That's how I was in Dallas
Yeah.
too, and that's how we felt. It was like, oh my god, I'm getting to see
We're
Kazuchika
breathing the
Okada.
same air.
Well, that's how it was the first time I saw Suzuki. Yeah.
Well, no, this is I'm sitting there.
Yeah.
We saw Liger before he retired. That was the first time I'd seen
Me
Liger
too.
in person. And
Yeah,
then not
same.
only that, I'm sitting there like I'm going to see Okada versus Tanahashi in person.
Wow.
And there is that thing where I think a lot of the fans in Chicago who bought tickets to this show were just like, I wasn't sure I was ever going to be able to see this guy. And now we're going to be able to see all these guys. And they were giddy. And what a wonderful reaction. And you could tell, again, the morale boost for the New Japan guys to be in front of a screaming, rabid crowd. Okada was having a great time, too.
Yeah.
Paul, I'd love to get kind of hear your thoughts after watching the show, because I kind of had this thought of, for however many weeks, 6-8 weeks, we've all been talking about, well, it should be this match and it should be that match. I'm disappointed it's not this, and why isn't it a singles match instead of a 4-way? And I don't like IWGP 4-way. Like everybody had all the criticisms and everything, right? But ultimately, what made the show special was the atmosphere, right? And that moment of seeing Okada come out on an AEW entrance in that robe and have the match and have him square off with Hangman or anything. So I'm wondering, is someone who was probably the most skeptical on buying the show and supporting it, what are your thoughts on that
word? I think in retrospect, especially in retrospect, maybe this should have been a tag team match. Like
worked like it was a tag team match.
It was.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think the title necessarily, I think maybe they felt that the title needed to be defended because they didn't have Punk Tanahashi, which was the original main event. So that's probably why they did it the way they did it. But I don't think the fans would have reacted any differently to this match if it was a tag team match. I don't think it got one extra buy on pay-per-view because it was a title match as opposed to a tag team match. And I also think that there's less of a chance Adam Cole might have got hurt if it was a tag team match, but that's a whole other issue. But
did he get hurt or did he fuck up the finish?
I
think
heard he got hurt.
I think
Okada got hurt.
I think he botched the finish. I think Cole botched the finish.
It's possible. Because the whole ending was weird with the Elite coming out and not even doing anything. So the only reason they wouldn't have done anything is if he was actually hurt, because they were probably supposed to do something.
Right.
But so I mean, but that said, I mean, everything you said is right. Like, but this match was a good match. It was a very good match, but it wasn't an Okada title match.
No.
You know, maybe it's a Jay White title match. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of those. But you know, and I think having it be a 4-way hurt it a lot, as opposed to if it was just a singles match with any two of these 4 guys.
Well, you make an interesting point about the tag team part of it, because it was worked like a tornado tag team match.
Yeah.
It was worked like a Texas tornado match. I mean, there were a couple of little things with Jay and Adam, but not a whole lot. A couple of little things with Okada and Page.
Just enough to make you want more, which I think a tag match would have more explicitly done, you know, and making you want, because I came out of that match saying the one thing I wanted to see was a Hangman Okada singles match.
Oh yeah. It doesn't matter if it's for a title.
Yeah.
Right.
I just felt when I was
teased
watching
that at the beginning. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh no, that's fine. I just felt like at the end there, like I was almost sure that the finish was supposed to be Cole taking the Rainmaker.
Yes, I
which
absolutely
cleaned him
believe
out.
it was. Yes.
Then Jay stealing the pin with and that way he's taking Okada's win away from. I don't know if Cole was hurt or if he just ducked it out of instinct or whatever. But
I'm trying to find out if he was officially injured. People are saying it happened on the Michinoku driver.
I think maybe Okada's not used to working multi-man matches.
I think that's definitely true too. I thought that there was right in the last spot when it was really kicking into gear at the very end. There was a spot where Cole kicked Okada that looked like he caught him square on the jaw, and Okada just sort of looked loopy for a second and was never quite right for the rest. Like the match was only about 45 seconds after that.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe Okada. Well, he never hit the Rainmaker on him.
Yeah, he never hit it.
Oh, I thought he did. Okay.
No, because I think that's what it was supposed to happen. So there was a spot.
Cole ducked.
There was a weird repetition because I thought, Okada's rattled. And then he pulled off the drop kick. And I thought, oh, well, maybe he's not that rattled. But then he did a spot and they kind of repeated the spot. He did the drop kick again. And that was I thought that was weird of him to do the drop kick so close together. And then he did that Michinoku driver type move. And then he picked him up for the Rainmaker, and Cole ducked just like he did in the spot before. So I kind of was like, are they both sort of lost in a second? Like they're just sort of muscle memory.
And then after Jay pinned Adam, there was a little moment between Jay and Adam where Jay was looking over and like, what the hell was that? And Cole kind of put his hand over his face to try to explain it. And I mean, you know,
and then Jay
it was definitely,
there's
no way that it was almost certainly a Rainmaker finish but
I think
because Cole had no reason to be pinned.
Right.
In the
considering the state of wrestling at the moment, just because Adam Cole got hurt doesn't mean Okada didn't get hurt as well.
Right.
They could, yeah.
I did see some references when I was trying to find. I still have not seen confirmation of Adam Cole's injury. They are doing the scrum now, but I'm still not seeing confirmation. But then I've seen a few things saying they thought Okada was also injured, but I don't.
Well, hopefully everybody's okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The person that I saw first that had reported that he was hurt was Brian Alvarez. Adam Cole's, but this was 16 minutes ago. Adam Cole's injury believed to be a concussion. Wishing all the best to him.
Okay.
And then you think of that. So Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly are all injured.
Yeah.
Very tough to hear.
You're gonna have more belts than people soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna have. Oh no. Yeah.
They're gonna have to bring in Braun just to fill a title spot.
We are just in the midst.
I'm sure they can pull. There's like 45 members of Bullet Club. I'm sure. Like they can go get Scotty Norton because he's a member. I made a joke about him earlier when Sting was missing. I was like, Scotty Norton took him out.
Do we think Adam Cole was even 100% going in?
No,
like he had his shoulder was taped up. I made the comment on Twitter, like I wonder if Tony spent more money on Cesaro or on shoulder tape. because there was a lot of shoulder
A lot of
tape
tape
tonight.
tonight.
It was a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
You look at all companies. This is not a one company thing, but we are in a
it's everywhere.
historic run of injuries right now. It's really sad to
Especially
watch.
when you have these two major companies and this giant show and having all these injuries.
And they're all working indies and
Yeah.
you know, like
Mhm.
and
I mean,
doing house shows
WWE,
again.
Cody, Randy Orton, so many guys,
So many
Yeah.
people.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a
I'll
lot.
say this: that it was almost a miracle. This was such a good show, and the thing is that gives us the opportunity for an amazing second show when you can have CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega, and so many others all from the New Japan side. They
Right.
all couldn't be on this show, so I hope we do get a second one just
I
for
hope so,
that because
too.
we haven't
Yeah.
even come close to spending all the matches that we want.
No.
that-
I think
that we could
they
get.
have to.
And
They
they-
silly not
And
to.
hopefully get, Naito, since we don't know like what happened to him and why he's not on this card and things
And
like
Hiromu,
that.
Ibushi,
yeah.
maybe hopefully
Yeah,
they'll
Hiromi
step out.
definitely. Yeah, maybe get some
Ishii.
and get some more of the LLJ guys on here, and so hopefully,
Sonata.
definitely.
And honestly, there were like so many big AEW names like MJF that I don't even know what's
Yeah.
going on. with him.
Wardlow,
and
Jade.
Wardlow, yeah, there's so many.
Big
Yeah.
Grell is a destiny.
I really
Yeah.
wanted I realized tonight that I really wanted a Wardlow Bad Luck Fale match.
Oh man, that would be.
Oh,
yeah.
I wanted a
That's a G1 match.
Toriano against
And
anybody.
he was there.
Anybody,
Toriano, the match
the
that I want with
greatest athlete
Toriano
alive today.
when
Yeah.
I was watching it during Dominion, and this is when I tweeted it. I want Toriano versus Brandon Cutler in a disinfectant versus cold spray match.
Oh, there
That's
you go.
brilliant.
Brilliant.
I was
Oh
like,
my
that is.
God.
I was like, that's a buy-in match, and my friend was like, no, that's a co-main event.
I want to see. I just want to see Toriano and Danhausen, and they can do a repeat of that
Yeah.
match in Japan where the
There's
two
so
guys
many.
didn't touch each other for an hour, and
Match of
I'd
the year.
watch. Yeah, match of the year.
Your match of the year. Yeah. And Yano was there tonight, and he was tweeting
Oh,
pictures
what a
of like
waste.
he had like
Yeah.
decent seats, and because I saw something earlier about him tweeting, and I was like, oh my god, I was like,
seats. His
decent
seats should have
seats.
been in the ring.
oh no, I agree. Oh, and also RJ City
I
told
love
him that
Yano so much.
RJ City invited him to come on AEW. He's like, hi,
Oh.
I have a show.
Hate you.
And that's what, yes, hate you. And I was like, that's where he can challenge Cutler. Please let me have this.
I need to
somebody.
see that. I need to see him challenging for the BTE title on Monday.
Yes.
I hope they got. I hope they got
Especially,
Yano on BTE. Come
yes,
on.
definitely.
That should be the
Especially
closing
because,
scene of BT, right?
Yeah.
Him
John
opening his
Yano,
DVDs.
Yano
and-
facing
Yeah.
off with John Silver with the title
Yeah.
over
because
Silver's
he'll win the
shoulder.
mustard match because I believe that's the next match. Is the
Yeah,
mustard,
it's mustard
the
match, yeah.
yeah. So John Silver definitely has to.
Hotly anticipated mustard match.
Yeah.
You ever just get a migraine that just starts here and then
well, the
just
cure,
asking, just asking.
the cure is Yano. So
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
He's the only
Yeah.
New Japan wrestler that makes Emily laugh.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Oh yeah.
No,
I love that.
Yano's
Yeah.
great.
Yano always. I love him. I really do love Yano. He's
I
great
do.
comedy relief. I want to buy his DVDs, man. I've got money in my pocket. There was no DVDs to buy, and I hear he has some really, really high quality Yano ramen literally available online.
Oh.
Oh, that's,
Hoping to get my hands on that
sounds
one day.
Accurate.
Yeah, yeah.
We need it. So Forbidden Door 2 has got to have Yano on it. That just
Main
we
event.
have
Has to.
Listen, Tony Khan and Gedo, if you happen to be watching this for some reason.
Steven's not a fan, Hausen.
Yeah.
No, he's not. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about Yano is I go back far enough with Japan that I remember when he was one of
He
the
was
most
hardcore.
violent players
Yeah.
with Togi Makabe.
Yeah.
And I remember him having really good matches and really, good brawls and things.
Yeah.
So this particular version of Yano, not my cup of
Now
tea,
he's
'cause I
having
remember- 'cause
excellent,
I'm old enough to
incredible
remember the
matches,
old
so
guy.
it's a step
Well,
up.
Moxley clearly fears him, so
Well,
Moxley's shaking in his boots. But Steven, I've really I keep wanting them to eventually bring back that Yano. Like I really would like to see that return at some point.
When was
They
that
did it
G1?
that
When
once-
was
they
that
did it that
G1
once
where
in
he
that-
was? Yeah,
Yeah,
It was like
well,
a
they did it the
G1
one
run.
time in the King of Pro Wrestling provisional match against Chase Owens, where he came out with the hair dyed and he was
Yeah.
going to be Violent Yano again, and they had the match and it was fine, and it was a little bit better than most of his, but yeah, I'd like to see it back again someday too. But I also understand that he's got a pretty good act that does not put a lot of stress on his body, so he's probably smarter than the rest of us. For
Yeah, Moxley. I thought Moxley, I think in the G1 made him fight one time.
A little bit,
I could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
And then he had the match of the
happy to
decade.
do it. I think he's happy to do it every once in a while.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that you can't argue with how he's not going to get hurt.
Yeah,
his gimmick right now,
Yeah, not with what he's
like. It's akin to like the honky tonk man. Like you can walk into the ring at 85 years old, hit somebody with a guitar and leave, and you can do that. He can do that till he dies.
And the booking genius of Yano's character is that because of what he does and how he does it, you could book him to beat anyone without it actually hurting the person he beats.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you know, there's all this. He does all these, the histrionics and all the convoluted ways he ends up hitting people in the yambags. And Kevin Kelly's monitor goes out on a regular basis,
right?
So
check it out, people. If you've never seen it, Google it. Hiromu versus Yano in the 2020 New Japan Cup. The match of the decade.
It involves the elevator I rode at Corrigan Hall. I popped big for that. I was just we were just in that elevator last year, Ginger. My girlfriend and
I never watch matches twice, especially from New Japan. I watch it 25 times.
Is that the one where Yano had like 19 electric razors in his pants? Yep.
Yeah. I think so,
that was a classic.
But terrorized Hiromu was a young lion. Yeah.
Considering Tony Khan has an entire company that seems to be built around yam bags being punched, how he hasn't brought Yano in is mind blowing.
And have
long-term booking, James. Long-term booking.
Yeah.
A booking philosophy, a booking philosophy based on yam bag shots, and the other company had the Jackass match.
Right.
It's a weird world.
Weird world. Yes, it is.
On that note, I think we should get into the main event.
Oh yeah,
why not? Why not?
I forgot about that.
He just went 20 minutes on Yano, who wasn't even on the show, and had apparently decent seats.
This is going to be that will be the part of the show that I clip to put on YouTube is the greatness of Yano.
Absolutely.
Jeremy Feinstein will be like, "This is the clip you want." This,
yes, I said
double checking. All right.
Yes. So our main event was for the interim AEW World Championship between Mox and Tanahashi. Who would like to start off on this one?
One thing I loved was just Regal in the back walking out with him. There's just a little touch.
Yeah.
That it was like that made it feel like gave it that little extra Rocky touch, you know.
Yeah. And then he left him when he got to the crowd. He's like, I'm not walking through this dangerous ass crowd.
That camera angle, the camera work of them walking out was awesome. I really like that.
That was cool. It gave it more of a big fight feel type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And we talked about Sting in this sense earlier. Tanahashi is another one who's just such a smart worker, and that his body is clearly shot and his knees are destroyed, and he still puts on a match this damn good. Yeah. And because he does things exactly at the right moment and not too much and not too. The first several minutes of this match, not a whole hell of a lot happened, and it was riveting.
No.
And that's two pros right there. They were really working. That's working, and they were really doing a great job around a guy who isn't that mobile anymore, yet still put on a terrific match. Another thing, I mentioned the pro moment. Some disturbance happened in the crowd. I never really figured out what
I saw a video of it. A guy, it was a drunk guy.
What happened?
In Chicago?
A drunk guy. They don't know what led up to it. I think it was Denise Salcedo was the one. I think I saw her video.
She was the drunk guy?
It was no.
Denise Salcedo got drunk?
No,
oh my God.
It was near her.
Denise is running wild, man.
Yeah, she is. But it was near her, and she filmed him. And the guy was, I guess, causing a scene, and he didn't want to leave, and he hit one of the security guards in the face.
Oh, wow. That's not going to go well for him at all.
Nope, another security guard balled up his fist. Like after that, a security guard fell down. like there was like 3 guys trying to get this guy out, and so
Was this guy Wardlow?
this is where
Did he have a pretty good seat as well?
I'll tell you what, though,
No.
James, if I know Chicago and I grew up not too far from there, he had a 20-on-1 match. It just wasn't sanctioned, and it was just outside the United Center. That was a bad night.
Mark Sterling to represent him.
I had 3 bets
Absolutely.
tonight, and they all lost.
Oh no! What were your bets, Paul? What were your bets?
Hangman, Tony Storm, and Miro.
Oh,
Yeah, but yeah.
bets.
I thought
but the point I was making is during that disturbance that they immediately realized
did like a headlock.
they saw that they did a headlock spot, and they're just like, no one's looking at us. Don't do anything. You know?
Yeah, you
And
could
it's
just
so
see
smart.
Moxley watching it.
Yeah.
I thought this was like a Moxley match, and Tanahashi worked a Moxley match. He got his spots in, but it was basically the kind of match.
He bled, so it's definitely
but it was like
Randomly bled.
It was I think it was 18 minutes, so it was like a Moxley, like Dynamite main event, kind of better than that. Like I would say that it's not your typical AEW world title match. None of the matches on the show, like there was only one match that went over 20 minutes. So it was a different kind of show, like in terms of like overall. And this was like a perfect capper to it. Like it was a really good match. Like it wasn't a match of the year, but it was the best you could get from Tanahashi, I think, against Moxley. Like this is the very best version of a Moxley Tanahashi match you're going to get in 2022, I believe. No, and that's not a. I mean, I'm happy. I got the best possible match I could have got between the two of them.
Yeah.
So it was,
and Kevin Kelly pointed out like early in the match, he was like, Tanahashi is and his exact words was, he's the ace of the GD universe.
Ace of the GD universe. Yeah.
I succeed my ace nickname
Kevin
to
Kelly,
Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yeah.
I thought the blood was a little distracting for it was just so much blood in a match that didn't seem like it needed to be a bloody match.
I don't even know how it happened.
I don't either. And then they showed him like when he like kind of came up on the side on the outside of the ring.
Even the commentators.
Renee tweeted, I think she said, "Oh Lord."
Oh Lord.
They were genuinely worried in the commentary booth. And that's why they kind of threw out, you've got to be concerned, like the referee can stop the match.
Yeah.
I think they were maybe concerned that the blood wasn't stopping. And somebody might actually have to stop the match.
And then the match ended quickly after he said that too. Like it was super quick. It was like they cut something like maybe we need to end this and get John to the back.
They ended the pay-per-view like 20 minutes before the top of the hour.
That's what I was like, we got 20 minutes.
Well, the match.
Yeah.
I mean, we still had 7 minutes of nonsense.
Yeah, there was
it was good nonsense.
It was good nonsense.
Yeah.
Of the three bits of nonsense.
The third show in a row we've seen.
I thought the same thing, Paul. 3 shows in a row we've had this, and I was like, oh, they're building it. Because at first I was like, when Jericho came out, I was like, why is he here again? And then I was like, and then I thought he was mad at Mox because Mox is the one who's getting all the glory from New Japan and all this stuff. Like, and so I thought maybe that's where they were headed. And I was like, oh yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think we skipped over Jericho burning Shota Amino's face.
Did.
Oh, that's right.
Fireball.
I think
he's a wizard.
My theory is that Jericho's team is going to win Blood and Guts, and Jericho is going to be the first challenger for Moxley.
Oh,
I don't want
that's
that.
interesting.
I didn't say I wanted
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
I want him to Jericho to take a break for a while. I'm tired of him.
I
need a break. I need a break from Jericho.
Yes,
I've said this on the Boom a lot, in that Jericho hasn't been as compelling to me, and including on commentary. And I legit want him to take a vacation. Like he needs
I do
a
too.
break.
Like I want him to go on tour. I'm like, isn't Fozzy going on tour? Like go away for. I need a break from him. And I absolutely can't stand him on comment. He doesn't let anything breathe. No. And I know it's probably because he has a podcast and he feels like he's got to keep talking, but I'm like, it's okay to be quiet for like a minute.
And I hate coming off as like, I don't want to come off as anti-Jericho because he was amazing during COVID and they needed him. Mm-hmm. But it's not working right now, and he needs to step away and come back fresh. The wizard thing I don't think is quite working. We could all use a break from Chris.
Yeah.
He's he's still the thing is I want to say he's delivering in the ring, but he's in really good matches. Like, I'm not sure if it's all because of him, but if you look at the history of the matches that he's having, like, they're all really good. You know, like the match tonight, the match at Double or Nothing,
no, that's true.
Dynamite matches. So, I mean, and I think his presence is necessary, because without him, you don't have 2.0 and Hager and Garcia in main events. Maybe Sammy, but you know, so I think he needs to be there right now. But I also agree with all of you that they need to figure out a way to get him out of there, because you know, like, he's 50,
let him
whatever.
get
he's gonna get injured.
Maybe he gets fireballed
That's
and he's just wrapped up and he can't talk and he's looking like
Jeff Hardy's listening.
Fireball.
What?
No, the fireball thing though makes it clear that someday, and it's going to be an interesting day.
Yeah,
Shota Umino is going to go over Chris Jericho in a match.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's.
And his dad better be. And Red Shoes has to be the ref. I was hoping that they were going to have Red Shoes be the ref for the main event.
They said there was going to be New Japan referees on this show earlier on.
Something happened.
Just the dojo guys.
Hopefully they're healthy and it's not anything like that. But yeah.
I really thought they were going to have Red Shoes and maybe just save him for the main event.
Yeah. I saw a lot of
we didn't mention one thing that about that. We didn't mention one thing that Claudio and Zach overcame. One other thing, and that's Bryce Remsburg.
Oh yeah,
the single worst referee in professional wrestling, and they somehow managed to get away with a really good match despite Bryce doing everything possible.
Was that the one where he screwed up a 3 count? Like at one point, or was that a different one? Because I remember the crowd chanting "UF'd up" at one point, but that might have been earlier.
Somebody tried to say that the UF'd up thing was when the guy that was fighting, but I don't think that.
No, there was one.
No, this was way earlier.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah.
There was because I wasn't here when you guys talked about the Jericho match. I thought that match was like incredible, but I thought it would have been perfect if what's his name, Shooter, had got the pin after the double DDT.
The double
spot.
DDT,
yeah.
That was the crowd. Like they did the 3 count. The crowd was ready for it, and I think they would have exploded. I don't think it hurts Jericho at all. They can bring Umino back and have him like get pinned by Jericho in a singles match or something.
Yeah, but they were in the corner though because of the advantage in blood and guts.
Oh, is that? Did they announce that? Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about too. That the Kevin pointed out that. Jericho Appreciation Society bookended the show. Like it opened with Jericho and then it ended with the blood and guts stuff, and so it was a very Jericho.
I wonder how New Japan feels about having this show end with 7 minutes of an AEW angle.
They're probably
that was going through my head. Yeah, you know, and Tanahashi is just like. He disappeared.
Yeah,
at least he was selling this time, and he and Moxley didn't have to stand there looking at each other where all their buddies
didn't mind. I thought that was great. With they just staring and did not give a shit about what was happening outside the ring. All that mattered was their title and them fighting each other.
Yeah, and it's great as long as you don't think about why isn't John helping his buddy? But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, all of his friends and his stablemates are out there brawling, and he and like Tanahashi are literally like joking with each other.
They're the Blackpool Combat Club. They can take care of themselves.
But even John and Tanahashi were looking at each other, just like, we really should be doing something, right? Yeah. And they were like snickering about it.
I think they were like, I thought this was going to be over like 2 minutes ago.
Tanahashi's like, are they still? Yeah, still.
Tanahashi was not as forgotten at the end of this pay-per-view as the Briscoes were at the end of the ROH pay-per-view. I'll say that at least.
This is true.
I feel bitter about that.
Yeah. I'll be bitter about that in 2050.
If you've still got Dynamite on your PVR, go back and look at when at the end of the match when John Moxley's about to get in the ring and do the stare down with Tanahashi. He has this look in his face like, are we really going to do this? All right, you know, like because he knew what he was told to do, and I think he thought there's no way this is going to work, but we're going to do it. He was
right; it didn't work.
Yeah. I caught that, and I was like, "What is that about?" And then it was like, "Okay, now I know."
I've got to go.
I went back and rewound it to watch, and it was a nice little moment.
Yeah, and so in that 7 minutes of whatever that was.
7 minutes
of setting up for the show.
WWE, using the pay-per-view to sell the TV.
That was a very WWE ending, I felt.
Yeah. And then we see Eddie on the outside going off
That was
about
awesome.
Claudio, but then you see John Moxley's on the outside laughing
at
Yes.
him.
yeah, because he knows how much they do not like each other. And Eddie, I mean, Mox is like, I'm not getting involved. I'm just going to stand here and laugh.
So how many of you because for me, I just couldn't, I'm looking for Eddie the whole time while this was going on. As soon as Claudio shows up, I'm like, where's Eddie? Where's Eddie? Like, I want to see, and he's nowhere to be found. He's not in the ring. He's nowhere. And then when you finally saw him, he's outside the ring and he's screaming at Claudio.
And he won't get in the ring.
Yeah. And he won't get in the ring. And I was like, that was perfect.
Yeah.
Like,
it's stuff like that makes him over with the crowd because he comes off so authentic.
Yeah.
You really
like
feel
Punk,
like everything he does, you feel like he believes every single word. He's so great. And
He is.
and this whole thing is like we know everybody in the crowd knows that they don't like each other. So if he had come out there and put his arm around and says, my partner in this big blood and guts match, everyone would have been just, oh Christ.
Boo.
No,
Because now we have to find out if they can coexist.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how much
can't.
they had kind of laid out, like at least from a broad strokes perspective of blood and guts of how it was going to go. That would have depended on the dissension between Danielson and Eddie. So it was kind of like maybe it's kind of like he kind of neatly fits in there and can kind of carry on that thing without messing it up too much.
Yeah.
Do you think this is going to lead to a Moxley and Eddie versus Danielson and Claudio down the road?
Well, would Mox have to leave Blackpool to do that?
I
don't know.
I was leaning more towards like
coexist?
Kingston walking out at some point, like MJF, and then like even maybe coming back with MJF. Like the two guys that are like pissed off at the fact that Tony just keeps bringing in these guys, and and what
that's a good idea.
That's very interesting.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody else is seeing that coming.
No.
Well, I'm just because I'm looking. There's similaries there. Like, in the way they're being treated. And, and you could even pigeonhole Santana Ortiz in there if you wanted to, but then again, it's like now they're going into another stable, third and fourth.
Right. Another, just further down the ladder.
Yeah. But I mean, even if they're not together,
though,
maybe
even if they're not together, I could see him doing the
seeds.
walkout thing. Like just, like maybe not on the company, but on the crew.
I think as long as you keep it between people like characters, I think when you start having people have feuds with the show, it doesn't work out well for the show.
Well, he's not. I mean, and the thing is Kingston's not in the Blackpool Combat Club, so I mean, this could easily just end up being BCC against Kingston's crew. It could just it could be that simple. 3-on-3.
And Mox the champion just being like,
you're right.
Yeah. Well, they could do. I always joked in the beginning that they were going to do an Adam Cole and a pole match with the Young Bucks and Red Dragon.
Yes.
So maybe it's John Moxley on a pole match between Eddie Kingston.
He's just up there bleeding.
Danielson,
The boom has
bleeding.
the boom has been there with Powerbombshells for a while.
We're on the same page on this.
Yeah, we all see it coming.
Adam Cole on a pole. I wanted it. That's what. Yeah, because I used to. I was like, they're constantly fighting over. I was like, Adam Cole is like the one that I was like, it's like he has Britt and then he has the Young Bucks and Red Dragon who are all vying for his attention.
And he's got Silver and Reynolds as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I brought.
You could do a 3-way.
Yes, and Adam Cole in a pole match. I'm here for it.
Oh, you mean it? No.
Yeah, we need Chris Dalton has to be on commentary for that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what did we think overall of this show? I think we are kind of on the same page.
If it's not the show of the year, then I'm looking forward to the show of the year.
Yeah.
Pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like for a show that didn't have a great build, which I think I was just like, it's going to be New Japan. It's New Japan and AEW. They're going to be fine. They'll figure it out, and I think it's going to be fun. But it exceeded my expectations, especially because it was so fun.
Yeah,
I think like I made the comment after I think it was Revolution, which had like all these incredible matches, but like James said, we were completely wiped out by the end of it. And I said this show was worse than the sum of its parts. Like when you look at it on paper and you look at all these incredible matches, you think this was an incredible show. And I mean, it was a very good show. This did not have that lineup of quality matches that Revolution did. If you look at it on paper and you just add up the star ratings, but this was a better show.
Yeah,
Like,
it was.
it was put together better. It was more fun. It was easier to watch. It was easier to digest.
Nothing bad.
Pacing, the timing,
yeah.
And even the things like Claudio, they were paced, they were spaced out really well. Shibata,
probably the best thing since All Out.
Excited.
Yeah, it reminded me of last year's All Out.
Yeah, definitely.
That's fair.
Yeah. So it sounds
I really wanted to be excited for this show, and I wasn't excited at all today. And then I watched the buy-in really sold me, even though QT Marshall was on it. I still bought the pay-per-view because of that. And I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
And I hope that happened to a lot of people, because I am very worried this could be the lowest buy pay-per-view maybe they've ever had.
I worry about it too, but I think that when word gets out as to how great this was, that if they do pull the trigger on another Forbidden Door, that I think a lot of people are like, maybe I shouldn't miss this one. Let's not sleep on this one. And hopefully there just won't,
I have to think a lot of people in Japan are also waking up and hearing about Shibata and are like immediately tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I kind of made the decision. Like, I literally bought the show 10 minutes before it started. But I had I watched and then I turned on the pre-show right after I clicked the purchase button, and 10 minutes in I was like, well, if I hadn't have decided to buy this show, I would have bought it based on the first 10 minutes of the pre-show. It just looked like, oh, this is gonna be great.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I hope that maybe last minute impulse buys got a lot of people to buy, and
I really hope
may be the least purchase, because there was a lot of negativity going into this, but I don't think it's gonna be the least purchase, but it's probably gonna be like the least purchase since maybe like the first year.
Yeah,
which is not bad. Like, it'll be beyond expectations. They're expecting like 100,000. So if it does better than that,
I love AEW, but AEW has been a mess since Double or Nothing. It's been an absolute mess.
It really has.
Yeah.
And hopefully now this has reset everything, and we can get back on track with the 8 healthy wrestlers they still have.
Right. And then we just hope they all get through Blood and Guts, and then
then we'll see how many are really injured after that. Well, I want to thank you all for joining me, and especially since Mel could not be here because she is #in Chicago, and she will also be at Blood and Guts on Wednesday, because she had tickets to that first because it's in Detroit. And so she had those, and then they announced Forbidden Door, and she got lucky with getting tickets. And so I'm sure next week's Powerbombshells, Mel's going to have lots of stories. Maybe we'll find out if Great Sokan saved her too.
Yeah, great. Mel's having the best week.
Find out if her and her husband were involved in that fight.
I would definitely. Yes. And she wanted to give, she told me, I should have done this earlier when Paul first joined us. She wanted me to give you crap for caving in and buying the show.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I love it.
It's funny. My wife heard that, I don't know if you guys saw it, the Danhausen cameo, quote unquote, that was posted in the Facebook group. And so she heard it, and she's like, why is David Lovell talking like that? And then she's like, and then she looks at me and she says, you're gonna buy this show, aren't you? And I'm like, well, I don't, like, I'm still deciding. And she goes, oh, you're gonna buy it.
I love it. She knows you better than you do.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'm gonna go through and have you each tell people where they can find you. So Paul, we'll start with you.
Sure.
And tell the people.
I'm at Paul Ace Fontaine on Twitter. I was told by someone in the industry that I won the internet this evening. So you can look at my timeline and decide which tweet it was that did that.
Oh, wow.
And give me a follow.
Yeah,
give him
exciting. Yeah, that's a way to get.
I just sent it to you, Sam.
Yeah, I saw it. I can see. That was pretty good. I was gonna retweet it, but maybe I'll wait and let people see if they can find it first, and then come back and retweet it. All right, Kevin, you want to tell them where they can find you?
Yeah, so at Kevin Ely on Twitter is about the exclusive place that I talk about wrestling publicly, other than on the Boom, which I think we're planning to record right after this.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we usually record on Sunday nights and post on Monday nights, but we decided to be more social.
I appreciate that. I'm cutting into your recording time, but I appreciate you coming to join me. And Steven,
it's been a blast. It flew by.
Yeah, absolutely. It really did. It flew by like the show we watched.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we've been going 2 hours?
Uh-huh. And I was like, I was like, it is 2 a.m. Luckily, I work from home, but I have to work in the morning. So I was like, I'm going to have to go to bed soon.
I'm the same. So,
all right, Steven.
I am at Steven Conway 88 on Twitter, and I also have a wrestling history site called ringsidereplay.com, and I am co-host with Jeremy Finestone of Speaking of Strong Style, a New Japan themed show every other Tuesday here on the Fight Game Media YouTube feed.
Sweet. And James, where can
you
we
follow
find
me?
You?
You can follow me on all social media at Peppermint Fatty, except for TikTok, throw an X on either side of that because some a-hole got Peppermint Fatty, and I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you, man. And all my people are coming for you. And of course, check out the Boom every Monday right here on Fight Game Media.
Yes.
I've been meaning to apologize to you about that.
It was me all along.
Yeah. Pump it up, pack up in the car. We're heading to Canada.
No more road trips, James.
No.
And before we wrap things up, I want to just pop this up there one more time. If you go to canvastheory.com, you can use the promo code Powerbomb for 10% off your order. They've got a bunch of hats and, of course, the Carl Fredericks collection with a couple of hats of his. And make sure you use that promo code Powerbomb for 10% off your order. And I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening, or if you are watching this in the future, I hope you have a great week. And Powerbombshells will be back next Sunday, probably with all kinds. Probably going to just be story time. Instead of story time with Adam Cole, baby, it's going to be story time with Mel.
I'm here for that.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you all again. And thank you guys for taking time to come hang out with me so I didn't have to do this all alone. And I hope you all have a good week, and we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for having us.